Hi, everybody. Welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 53. I am your host. With me, as always, my co-host and teenage son, Jackson. Say hello, Jack.
It's season 2, episode 1, maybe?
Yeah, technically season 2, episode 1. It's our first
call it that.
Episode of the second year.
Yep.
Coming back to talk about a whole bunch of wrestling stuff.
Hey, and now you could talk briefly about, or you could probably birthday talk this week.
Because it's your birthday coming up, and that's from our original notes, because we started just before your 13th birthday.
It's Tuesday.
You're about to be 14 in a couple days, so probably some stuff happening around there, having some buddies over to swim, I think. Yeah. Summer's in full swing here in Southern Ontario. Enough restrictions have sort of lifted that we can kind of live like normal humans.
Yeah,
it's been a lot of people coming over.
The only not normal thing is masks in stores, I think. Right. That's it.
Pretty much, yeah. We've had a bunch of people coming over.
At least in my experience.
To swim. Been getting together with people on the street like most nights just to do stuff. So it's been a lot of fun. If you're a new listener, welcome. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. As always, I'll say, there's my first as always of the week. Damn it. I can't stop myself. But anyways, like I tend to do, I'll give out our contact information here. fnswrestling at gmail.com, fns_wrestling_podcast on Instagram, or if you're listening in YouTube, you can leave
And I just made a new Instagram account for my wrestling figures.
Right, which is?
Toasted Wrestling Figs.
Toasted Wrestling Figs on Instagram.
If you want to go follow that and give me a help, thanks.
I have been warned that our figuring it out segment at the end of this episode will be epic.
We got... San Diego Comicon was yesterday on the 23rd, so I've got a big, fat, chunky figuring it out.
So if you're one of the people listening for the wrestling figure news...
Oh, you're going to enjoy
You're going to get a lot, and then you could even follow along online if you'd like to see what some of them look like.
Ringside's Instagram has like all the stuff on there, so that's where I'm going from.
That's what will be coming up today. I don't know, is there anything else you wanted to talk about today other than your upcoming birthday and summer kind of starting to feel a bit normal, which is delightful?
Yeah, it's actually good timing.
So we've got a thing today to go to probably this evening even, but it's neighbors of ours and friends of ours are doing a bike tour / wine tasting, but I know it sounds strange, but grown up fun stuff.
It's an excuse to have people over.
And drink some wine before they get there, I guess. But the weather is not looking very cooperative, like 90% chance of rain or something, so they're sort of switching it to something else. But once we get that done, I think that's what we might be up to later today.
We should still get booster juice.
So we can. I say we get started this madness. What do you think?
Sure.
Our first topic.
Oh yeah, knuckle crack.
As we do every week, it's going to be taking a look at some of this week's news.
As always?
Nope, not as always. As we almost always. No, that's too close. Usually, regularly,
every
whatever.
time.
As we do, let's look at some news and rumors.
Just trying to find any synonyms for that sentence.
So I'm going to start with ratings, because that's what I do. And Tuesday's live edition of WWE NXT drew 709,000 viewers on the USA Network, which is up a measly 0.6%, but hey, it's still up, so we'll take it, right? Earned a 0.20 in the 18 to 49 demographic, which is barely up from 0.19 last week. But the good news is this was NXT's most viewers since the May 4th episode, despite having the second half of this show go up against the NBA Finals, which started at 9 o'clock. So that A is a pretty good number, and B, considering they went against some very stiff competition in the second hour, I think they're probably happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get Wednesday's live Fyter Fest Night 2 edition from AEW Dynamite. Again, awesome ratings, 1.148 million. So again, over a million, up 12%. Earned a 0.44 in the key demographic this week, which is up 10%. So Fyter Fest Night 2 drew the third most viewers in AEW history and the second most of this year. So great news for AEW. It topped 1 million viewers for the second straight week, which is, if they can maintain that, that's a great number.
Right, I'm just glad they've stuck around through this pandemic, because
that
really had me worried, right? Because like they started, and I was really liking it, and then the pandemic hit, and that could have just wiped them out, but they've even gone strong through this era, right? So I'm happy they're doing good.
And then there was that brief little hiccup where they were moved from their regular day and time, so
they were
getting like 500,000 viewers, which isn't great, but when you're completely shifting to a day and time when people are generally busier, right? They went to Friday nights at 10 o'clock, right? So people have stuff to do.
They've still got they got a good amount of viewers given the circumstances.
And it's nice to see that once they come back to the regular slot, boom, everybody's back and they're up over 1 million.
Right.
So that's really good news for them. What do you have for us in the way of news?
So WWE announced that like the SmackDown when they're at like Rolling Loud or whatever that thing is.
Right.
This guy named Trae Young announced they got a New Year's Day pay-per-view, like actually on New Year's Day for once.
Yep.
In Atlanta.
Trae Young, the basketball player?
Probably.
Really?
I think so.
Oh yeah, he is Atlanta, so that makes sense. That's your brother's favorite player right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it'll be on January 1st, 2022.
Cool.
They've obviously done New Year's Revolution pay-per-views in the past, but those were never like on New Year's Day.
So it's actually on New Year's Day? That's fun.
That'll be cool.
Give us something to watch.
It out.
Oh, we will for sure. Let's be honest.
It'll feature obviously superstars from both brands. It says names listed in early promotional material include Roman Reigns, Bobby Lashley, Belair, Nikki, almost a superhero.
Because she's a champion now.
Yeah. Apollo Crews, Styles and Omos, Usos, like all the champions, and then also McIntyre, Flair, Orton, Riddle, Banks, Rollins, Bliss, and many more.
All that good stuff.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's interesting. Something a little new. I kind of hope they would call it New Year's Revolution just because that'd be a callback. I feel like that'd be kind of cool.
Right.
But this is interesting. Hopefully it's good.
Yeah. My first piece of news, I guess I'm kind of happy about it. I'm happy for her anyways. Kiera Hogan of Impact Wrestling has reportedly told Impact she will not be re-signing her contract's almost up.
And that would kind of explain the title switch at last weekend's Slammiversary, which was pretty good.
Check out that also review. The rematch that was on Impact this week. She also said she will be exploring her options to go elsewhere. So that's kind of basically saying, unless I get no offers, I don't plan on coming back. So I'm happy for her, man. She's improved a ton because we kind of saw her live in person early on, and she wasn't
good in the ring, and she was just a boring babyface who was aligned with Allie.
But now she's improved a lot. I think she's earned the right to sort of have a choice of where she works, and I'm sure other companies will be interested in signing her. I mean, AEW is looking to bolster the women's division. NXT's always looking to poach any sort of talent they can from anywhere. So I think she'll have options, and that's great for her because I think she's worked pretty hard and gotten pretty good.
Yeah, it's good. There was this funny bit on SmackDown, it's not news, but I did want to mention it, where Paul Heyman mocked John Cena's theme.
Right.
It's really funny. It's so good.
Okay.
He does like the...
You're recommending people check it out if they haven't?
Yeah, I think I saw it on Wrestling Inc. or whatever, and then so I actually had it's like the short video. It's funny.
Right.
I would try to find that if you want to, because it's pretty funny. A pretty big announcement as Walter versus Ilya Dragunov 2 was postponed due to a minor injury to Walter.
But
they're going to put it on NXT TakeOver 36, which is the August TakeOver. And that's pretty huge. That this match does, I think, fit the billing for a TakeOver.
Oh, it was close to my match of the year last year, the first one of them. And I think moving it to a larger stage like this is very smart. I don't know if they plan on bringing Walter to North America for a while, but...
I don't think he'll want to, but maybe.
Giving these guys this stage with a lot more eyes on it could be a crazy match again, right? The first one was just brutal match, but I loved it. So I'm hoping for anything, even like 3/4 of that match would still be a good match. So I'm optimistic. Britt Baker announced on Twitter that she broke her wrist in her match against Nyla Rose that we'll be talking about a bit later in this show. However, the good news is she said she won't be taking any time off because that's great. She's just
she's gonna follow her little friend Adam Cole, because remember in 2019 he was wrestling with like a white cast for a while. Yep. So that might have been it. And also I think Chelsea Green has been doing that, actually.
Although I don't think she had it on for Slammiversary, but it's back on now. That's another thing
I saw something about her doctor told her to put it back on or whatever.
Right. So Britt's obviously one of the hottest things going in wrestling right now, so it's good. Even if she just needs to do promos for a couple weeks before she can get back. She did that when
she was in a wheelchair.
Right, so it's no problem. She'll figure it out. So it's good news she's not taking any time off.
I agree. Next I have AEW has officially signed Thunder Rosa, and so that's pretty good because we like her.
Awesome. Yeah.
She's obviously appeared. She challenged Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's title at All Out last year.
Right.
Had a pretty nice feud with Dr. Britt Baker, and so I think she's still signed with NWA. So this maybe indicates more of a working relationship between them.
Right.
I mean, that was already kind of evident with Serena Deeb being the NWA Women's Champion for a bit.
She's become a big star, right? So she's going to a bigger promotion that makes sense. Not that I dislike NWA. I actually like it. I was telling you I watched that. The whole episode this week was just a draft. Them doing this kind of convoluted team thing and drafting. So a current champion's paired up with a legend, and then they're drafting members of the roster to put in competition. So kind of strange, but interesting. I watched it last night. So literally no wrestling on their entire, hour-long episode last night. It was just, at least when I watched it last night. So there's more NXT stars apparently working dark matches before SmackDown. So it looks like sort of tryouts or whatever are continuing. Was Austin Theory lost to Odyssey Jones, who was on NXT this week, in what was described where I looked as a semi-squash. So maybe more of a showcase for Odyssey Jones, right? Which is fine. He can go. Theory can stay. And also Indy Hartwell was defeated by a recent NXT call-up in Aaliyah. So I don't like it from the standpoint of Vince is aware NXT exists, I guess, which isn't the best thing for us who love NXT and don't really want some of these people going on to the main roster where we won't watch them and they're more than likely going to be wasted. But the fact is it's happening, so I thought I would include it here.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess then that means they like the other people.
From what I've seen, they can have Odyssey Jones, right? But
and Aaliyah.
I'd like to see more of Odyssey Jones, but if someone has to go, he wouldn't be someone I cared that much about.
Apparently, SummerSlam is going to air in movie theaters.
Yeah, they've done those things before. They used to put a lot of pay-per-views in movie theaters, so you could spend less money slightly to go and watch it with a group of people instead of getting it yourself. They used to do that from time to time.
That's cool. I mean, we can just watch it for free.
I mean, I'm not looking to get in a movie theater at this point, but at some point I would for sure.
I am, just not for SummerSlam.
Fair enough.
Maybe I'll try it if it ever happens another time. Because I feel like it'd be kind of interesting.
Right.
It's not exactly like a movie, right? Where you kind of have to
because people cheer and stuff, so it's interesting. I've done it once back in the day. I don't remember what pay-per-view was.
In a movie, you're supposed to shut up, turn your phone off, and stuff.
No, this is a little more laid back.
Right, so I think that'd be kind of interesting.
It is. Kenny Omega was in an interview, and he's sort of talking about hoping for more wrestling on Rampage. And I mean, because he is an executive, you would think he's going to have input, so maybe it will. In the interview, he actually said, quote, he would love to see Rampage be more of a home for women's wrestling and, quote, rather than give them more Chris Jericho, more Kenny Omega, more MJF, I'd rather give them more of the extremely talented individuals that you maybe can't see that week. I feel that we have a lot of very gifted female wrestlers that have been working really hard fighting for a spot. Maybe it's time for them to get some more, and I think that would count as a variation in content, more women's wrestling. I agree. Even just from the standpoint of use this third hour not to push the guys that already get a ton of time, right? Like he's saying, Jericho, Omega, MJF, love them, but they don't need more time.
Tay Conti, maybe Kip Sabian.
So I'm hoping it's somewhere between Elevation and Dynamite, right? Where the stuff does matter and we do need to pay attention, but it's people we don't get enough of on Dynamite.
Right, like Kip Sabian.
Or I was thinking more for you, someone like TH2, right?
Maybe TH2.
Build them a little bit as a competitive tag team. Something like that. Anyways,
Kip Sabian and TH2 for Trios Champions.
If Omega wants it to happen, there's a chance it could happen, right? Because he is...
no, because I think it's going to be the Cody show, actually.
It might be. Any other news from you?
Knowing Cody. I think you saw this thing, too, that there's rumors of a Queen of the Ring tournament.
Yeah.
That doesn't really rhyme, though. Queen of the Ring.
Well, does it have to rhyme, does it?
Yeah.
Is it like a rule? It's like a law?
Queen of the... I don't know.
Yeah,
something.
So yes, cool. That's happening apparently. I don't know.
But there's literally only one person with a Queen nickname,
right,
who no longer has a title,
right,
and is notorious for winning.
But I also think it'd be more likely that they would put it on someone else that they want to feud with Charlotte, and that's the impetus for Charlotte being like, "How dare you?" sort of deal, right?
That's worse.
That's better. Speaking of Charlotte, and it's not in my notes, but apparently Rhea Ripley is officially on the ledger as a babyface now. When they list heels and faces in WWE, she is now a babyface apparently.
Yeah, that's just too confusing.
Which is interesting
for me to care.
Any other news?
Reigns did decline the Cena challenge. Yay!
Right.
And accepted a challenge from Finn Balor.
Yes.
But obviously they're going to do Reigns versus Cena at SummerSlam. It's presumed that Balor will be a pre-SummerSlam challenge for Reigns, but I would watch that.
Yeah,
Reigns
could be
versus
interesting.
Balor would be cool.
Yep, even though Balor's never win in a million years, but that's okay.
Yeah,
still could be interesting.
Literally, because it's like he he never lost the Universal title,
right?
And he had only like a couple of opportunities for it. Well,
but he's so small, and Roman Reigns is so big.
And one of those opportunities
was
literally against Roman Reigns, which he lost.
Right.
So
good luck.
Yeah.
But anyways,
and that wasn't even Tribal Chief Roman Reigns.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be Roman's new plotting slow style versus Balor trying to speed things up, so it could be interesting.
That kind of worked with Lesnar.
Yeah, it can. So, it can work for sure.
See. Yeah.
Any other news?
No.
So, do you realize that we never talked about Money in the Bank?
Yeah,
do you want
know.
Do you want to do like a 2-second? So basically, run through. So let's do this. Right?
The
Ready?
Women's Money in the Bank sucked.
Women's Money in the Bank ladder match was first with what's her name? Nikki, almost a superhero, sort of grabbing the belt as a couple
the
briefcase. Sorry,
it was really
a couple
dumb.
People were...
So like of the 7 or. Was it 6? Yeah, because Alexa Bliss got piled on with ladders, and she possessed Zelina Vega at one point.
Yes, there was, and she tried to use the Force to get the briefcase down, but then never went back to using the Force. Apparently, she has the ability, but only tried to use it once.
Right,
which makes total sense.
So basically, what happened is the 6 people they're trying to grab the briefcase. They're on 3 different ladders because you can't not do that in a Money in the Bank ladder match. And then Nikki kind of just climbs over them and just grabs the briefcase, but she takes a good few seconds to get it. The most annoying part of that to me is not only did she win,
right, but
I could see Asuka in the replay. She's like reaching her arm out, but you can tell she's not trying.
Of course,
it was dumb.
I didn't think this match was very good. I have listened to some stuff talk about Money in the Bank because I didn't care about my opinions on that too much. I won't listen to stuff about Dynamite and NXT, but about this I did. People like this match. I did not.
Right.
The talent going into it wasn't an impressive lineup.
Thrilling.
There was no real memorable spots. Like I remember this match ended in 45 seconds. I said, quick, tell me something memorable from that match. And you had nothing for me. And we just finished it, right? And then you add the supernatural antics of Alexa Bliss, and that takes me even further out of it.
The men's Money in the Bank was much better.
I thought it was just, but this was basic, straightforward match. It wasn't very interesting. Then we had AJ Styles that almost successfully defended their titles against the Viking Raiders.
Boring.
Which, I don't know. I didn't think boring. It was great. 3 of the 4 are talented, but this was... And almost and again, I hear people talking about, he does so well. Yes, he's kind of limited. Well, Money in the Bank's one of the big pay-per-views for me. Putting a super limited guy on a title match there isn't the place for him, right? I don't find him very good at all.
It's a terrible role for AJ, I think.
So I didn't think this match, the result was never in doubt for me. I didn't think there was anything special about it. It was just kind of okay. Then we move into Kofi Kingston, Bobby Lashley. That was almost an extended squash.
It was like the Cena Lesnar match from SummerSlam 2014.
I actually have no problem with this. I like this idea, keeping Lashley strong. Right, because
last time they built Kofi up and it was Kofi Mania, and this time they're could happen again, and just doesn't happen at all.
Well, and what this should lead to, right, is once we see the whatever people know, Big E should cash in on Lashley, right, because he's now taken out both other members of that group, whatever they're called, New Day. There you go.
And then they would be able to reform on Raw.
So you would think that might be where it's going, but their booking sometimes doesn't make sense. Then we had the Raw Women's Championship, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair. I thought this was it turned into a good match. Everybody seems to think, I saw people giving it 4.5 stars. And
it wasn't bad, but it was boring because I don't care about this anymore.
The second half was definitely better, but again, this is the opposite of a fresh matchup, right? They've done this a million times.
And Charlotte won. Whoopee.
They did win the crowd over, right? Because the crowd in the beginning was chanting for Becky Lynch, and then by the end, they had transitioned into "This is awesome" chants. So, I mean, these women worked super hard. I think this turned into be a good match, but I don't think it was as fantastic as people are talking about it. But yeah, I thought it was good. Not amazing, but good. I'm not even going to go through the riddle backstage with Rick Boogs and stuff. I mean, people have probably heard enough about this. The men's Money in the Bank, I thought was...
I wish it was a little longer.
It was probably my favorite match on the show. I thought it was pretty fun. I
liked it, yeah. I just wanted some more time because I thought, the field looked really good, so I was hoping for,
that was
more
the thing,
time.
That kind of the opposite of the women's. The field on this one looked promising, and I thought this was a pretty fun match. There was a bunch of cool stuff going on. I like there was that alliance between Morrison and Rollins for a while.
Yeah,
right?
and they had like an argument who's drippier or whatever, right. And then like Rollins gets kicked by Riddle or whatever, and then Morrison's like laughing at him, and then Morrison gets taken up by Ricochet, and then Rollins is laughing at him, and then Riddle takes him. It was pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie.
So that was a bit of humor. Then there was some.
And they were aligned for actually like a bit. Like it was surprisingly. Usually it's like they do a couple things and then someone turns on someone, but they were working together for a decent amount of time.
And then there were some big spots along the way and a pretty entertaining finishing flurry. I thought McIntyre being taken out by Jinder Mahal's group was a little bit kind of whatever, but
yeah, I don't care. I mean, at least that meant he wasn't gonna win at all. That was a positive.
Yeah, it's just now it's clearly mid-card McIntyre for a little bit, right? I think he's had his run at the top with no fans. Then the fans come back and we shove him back down the card, the poor guy. But anyways, I thought that was a really fun match, match of the night.
That's kind of funny.
Then we got the Universal Championship match, which was Paul Heyman versus Edge.
Paul Heyman versus Edge?
Or sorry, Paul Heyman. I was looking at Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman. It was probably Roman Reigns, if I remember correctly. So for me, like again, a lot of people really liked this match. It was 33 minutes long.
I feel like Roman or Vince or whoever it is thinks Roman needs to wrestle slow and whatever.
He does, and sometimes I think it works.
Though, but I know why they're doing it, but I don't think it needs to be as slow as they're doing it, like, because it really does ruin matches. So like I feel like they because he used to be good.
I think his slow style combined with the fact that Edge has no chance to win made it harder for me, right?
And Edge is old.
I don't watch main roster, and I know who's gonna win all of these matches. Outside of the Money in the Bank matches, I would have picked every single one of these because it's pretty obvious.
Well,
right?
Even the Money in the Bank is pretty obvious.
So these guys, they worked hard to tell a story. It just happens to be a story I don't find interesting or believable.
I don't give a crap.
The pace of this was slow. Pretty much devoid of unique highlights. The crowd was pretty into it. I maybe it's like you had to be there kind of moment, or they're just happy to be back and see anything.
I don't think I had to be there. I don't want to be there.
I thought this dragged towards an inevitable conclusion, right? And then you add some overbooking with ref bumps and multiple refs and run-ins and stuff.
It kind of just dragged until the slow and painful death.
If I'm going to be positive, I think Edge's facial expressions, body language are really good. But again, just kind of basic, slow plotting, overbooked stuff.
And I have no desire whatsoever to have Edge in the main event or anywhere near it.
Really. And to be fair, there is overbooking and similar stuff going on in AEW for people who are like, "Oh, you guys just love AEW." But,
I do, but
at least when that stuff's overbooked, I know along the way I'm gonna get some incredible action in the ring. I'm gonna get some stuff that I go, "Whoa!" or
but
something.
This is just devoid of that.
I thought this was a weak main event. A bunch of people seem to have loved it. I found it a chore to get through.
Those are the same people who are happy to see Edge and Goldberg and Cena back.
So I'll get into my overall thoughts and then we'll move on.
Oh yeah, and Cena came back. Yay!
Overall, wasn't a big fan of the show. And I'm just saying sometimes I feel like it's a waste of my time for me to watch main roster stuff. As so much
Even though we only watch like the pay-per-views basically.
So much of it is just kind of okay. And I compare it to professional football, which you won't understand. I love the NFL. I can pretty much sit down and watch any random NFL game at any point and be entertained. But when it comes to the CFL, which is our Canadian Football League professional version...
You think you would watch that,
You
right?
can't pay me enough to watch it. The styles, like, it's just not the same thing. So the style of the matches and the storytelling in main roster WWE are not for me. They pretty much everything they're doing misses me. Impact Slammiversary, to compare, had 2 matches that blew me away and I would call must-see.
No, I'm surprised, like...
And you don't even like Impact or watch it, and you would agree, right?
I don't love Impact that much, and that was, like, leagues ahead of Money in the Bank, and that sucks, because it's Money in the Bank.
Yep, and Dynamite even, just a regular episode of Dynamite.
I would watch Fyter Fest instead of... like Money in the Bank. That's sad.
Dynamite almost gives me at least one match I like better than everything on this Money in the Bank. So
that makes me sad.
Then you have to add in incredibly obnoxious commentary, and the product becomes more of a chore to me, right?
I think they think we're dumb.
It's just like the commentary just ram home talking points that they're being told they have to ram home.
There's nothing like...
There's not a lot of analysis.
It doesn't even like...
useful.
Sometimes on AEW or whatever, like this, it doesn't even feel like a free-flowing conversation at all, or like anything like that. It's just like the reciting stuff that they have to tell you.
I enjoyed one match on the show. I wouldn't call that match must-see. I gave the pay-per-view a C, and I thought it pretty much wasted my time. And man, I used to look forward to Money in the Bank because it was I thought one of the more entertaining, consistently pay-per-views. And I would move it into the Big Four and move Survivor Series out personally. But I did not enjoy this Money in the Bank, and maybe that's just main roster's not for me, and I just kind of have to accept that fact and enjoy the wrestling I find elsewhere that I do enjoy, and let the people that enjoy the main roster in these pay-per-views have it, because I don't want it. I gave it a C. I don't know if you want to throw a quick letter grade on it.
Yeah, that sounds right. I didn't love it, and it sucks, because Money in the Bank is like... And I feel like even in recent years, it sucks, because I like Money in the Bank, and I haven't even really been around to see any good ones. Like, this year was, like, the winner was good, Big E was good, but, like, just the pay-per-view wasn't great. Last year, you had Otis winning, like, basically by accident, and it took place on the roof of a building, like, okay. And then last year, you had Brock Lesnar coming in out of frickin' nowhere, like... coming in, and then Braun Strowman failed in 2018. So did Corbin. Literally, the only happy Money in the Bank memory I have is Dean Ambrose winning in 2016. And even then, that world title reign crapped the bag pretty quick. So, like, it's kind of sad.
So we keep watching main roster pay-per-views. We probably will continue, but I mean, I'm hoping things pick up a little bit at some point.
They kind of have to when you're going this low.
But anyways, I thought we would sneak that in there. So I didn't even tell you we were going to do that, but I thought we could talk about Money in the Bank really quickly. But now we'll get back
in. Won't be a long one, folks.
We'll get back into what we regularly talk about, and that is taking a look at this week's NXT. The show starts off with a recap of Samoa Joe's arrival at NXT and some of his issues with Karrion Kross, including being choked out by Kross after Kross successfully defended his title in the main event against Johnny Gargano last week. Commentary.
Interesting way to end the show, right? Because it's very open.
Yes.
And you kind of know what's going to happen, but like,
it
leaves a lot to...
There's a lot of places to go, and then, I don't know, Kross sort of had a little bit of wind taken out of his sails, I guess, on, what was it, Raw that he was on? Anyways, commentary tells us that...
Yeah, he lost to Jeff Hardy. It was 2 very
minutes.
Amusing. Like, the most amusing thing all week.
It really sort of... Well, I'll talk about it, but
it's not good for NXT, but I really don't like Kross, so I find it very funny.
And it's not good for NXT, but also it's probably good for our NXT, because the more that the...
It's not good for their look, but it's also kind of good, because then it means Vince...
They'll leave us alone.
Right, Vince will leave it alone.
Because clearly they consider it as like a second-rate company that nobody watches because they can.
But I find it just amusing that, like, because you think out of the NXT people, you think Kross, like,
well, he's undefeated. They built him as a monster,
right? Like, he's undefeated. No. You think Vince would like him, but then he loses on his Raw debut to Jeff Hardy.
But judging by the crowd reaction, they didn't really know who he was anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, people don't watch NXT.
But you think Vince would like him, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, only like, 600,000 people watch NXT. That's not many, I guess. But anyways, commentary tells us that this week's main event will feature another title match, and it's Xia Li challenging Raquel Gonzalez. Yeah. Then Samoa Joe.
I wonder who's going to win that, too.
Hard to imagine. Samoa Joe's music hits. He makes his way to the ring, and he has a microphone. Starts out by saying, "Tick-tock, tick-tock, guess who's coming to smash your clock?" referring to Karrion Kross's sort of catchphrase. Regal then comes out, says that Joe can't just come out and call out superstars. Joe quickly reminds Regal of the unless provoked part of him not touching any of the wrestlers, and he was definitely provoked.
I don't think he was provoked.
No, not at all. Choked out was not provoked at all.
No, that's getting choked, not provoked.
But Regal here says that he was provoked during the match, but the Kross put his hands on Joe the referee and not Joe the assistant or assistant GM or whatever. I feel like that's kind of a lousy
excuse.
That's in my notes. Like, I thought that was a bit of a stretch.
Right? I mean, like, I know why he would say that, because he's got to do anything to, like, prevent this, but that's a bit of a lousy excuse.
Yeah. He is clearly provoked. I don't care what role he's in. Like, he got choked out by a guy.
Right, like, it's still Samoa Joe, right? Like,
right. Joe then says that Regal can't control Kross, which has led Kross even showing up on Raw without Regal's knowledge. And I noticed...
Really? Regal didn't know about it? Come on.
I noticed that they didn't mention anything about what happened on Raw when he went there.
I heard they had to, like, because so they taped the 2 weeks that they're not on USA. I thought so. Right? Or... Wait,
so this was taped before he was on Raw? Is that the case?
Wait, was this one? No, it
no,
wasn't
not this
actually.
one. Oh, okay. So Regal tells Joe that
was the other tapings. They had to reshoot a segment because the Hardy chants.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Regal tells Joe that Cross is on his way to NXT. Joe then promises that this issue will end tonight, but that it won't end peacefully. He finishes by saying that someone will end up being put to sleep tonight. What did you think of this opening bit here?
I thought that was a good promo from Joe. He did good, looking really angry. I thought Regal's fine. It was a bit of a stretch to say that provoked as he wasn't provoked.
Yeah, I thought so too.
It was fine. Although this segment gives me little hope that Cross is leaving NXT, because that's what I was hot. I was like, I was fired up. I was like, Cross is debuting right. He's getting the hell out of here tonight, and then this happened. So I was a little disappointed in that aspect, but it was fine.
Yeah, I thought both guys strong work from both of them. Joe is really believable and intense, right? Pretty much whatever he says feels pretty real to me at this point, which is funny because I don't think early on in Impact I thought he was a very good promo, but he's really learned a lot. He's pretty good. Felt like the perfect length too. It wasn't really long. It sets up a bit of intrigue as to what's going to happen. It's one of those threads they can sort of weave throughout the show, and I generally like that storytelling idea. They can come back to it and update us as the show goes on. Saying it will end tonight, though, leads me to believe that there won't be a match between the two. Like, I don't... Right. So I'm a bit confused. I thought maybe, as you're hoping, it's because Cross won't be around long enough. And my only issue is the same thing you said. Trying to differentiate between Joe the ref and Joe the assistant seems kind of unnecessary, or right. I don't know what the right word is. Kind of felt out of nowhere, too. I think Cross's treatment on the main roster takes a little bit away from this for some people. Doesn't really bother me that much, but he was definitely not made to look strong, right? If that's where you just saw Cross, and now Samoa Joe's supposed to be having trouble with this guy that loses to mid-carders on Raw in less than 2 minutes, right? So, I mean, I don't really care. I can look past it, but it may take some of the shine off this for some people. We then get Xia Li promo with subtitles and some dramatic music kind of behind it. She basically says that this is the biggest match of her life. She will do the same thing to Gonzalez that she did to Mercedes Martinez, and that she will become the first Chinese NXT Women's Champion. I assume she could have just said women or first Chinese NXT Champion, right? I don't even think she needed to qualify it as women's.
Yeah,
I don't think there's been a men's.
I don't think she's challenging for the men's.
No, but I mean, there hasn't been a Chinese men's champion. Oh, right, yeah. That's what I'm saying. What did you think of her brief promo
here? She's good, and at least they let her speak her language.
Yes, I like that.
But this does not change my thoughts on the result.
Yeah, I agree. Solid promo. I think at this point, without seeing the match, right, I think she's being a bit rushed into this scene, and that it was kind of like she might not quite be ready, but they don't have any other plans, and they need sort of a holding pattern win for Gonzalez, is what it felt like.
But yeah, but then they could have just fed someone, they didn't need to make it a title match, I feel like.
This might be because Lee's leaving too, though. I don't know. Get as much as her as they can before she's gone, right? I thought this was a pretty intense, straightforward promotion. She did a good job. Diamond Mine then start making their entrance for the upcoming match. Yeah. But they get attacked by Kushida and Bobby Fish, and then this obviously leads to the ring, and their match starts right out of that, basically. So commentary tell us that this is a battle between 4 technicians, which I would agree with the added dynamic of Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish obviously having a deep history together with Undisputed Era. And
Tyler Russ being Tyler Russ.
And Russ beat Fish last week, and then Kushida had to run down to save Fish from a post-match attack, so that's where this match sort of came from. During this match, Kushida and Fish continued their attack in the ring. They clear the heels to the floor, and then we go to a commercial break. At some point, Fish takes control of Strong with a drop toe hold into the turnbuckles, and then Kushida, as he always tends to, is focusing on Strong's arm as much as he can. We get Divorce Court by Kushida, countered into a backbreaker by Strong at one point. A little later, there's a nice belly-to-back suplex by Tyler Rust to Kushida, and the heels start to isolate the Cruiserweight champ in their part of the ring. Double underhook suplex by Roddy a bit later. We get the handspring elbow to 2 people by Kushida, and that's what sort of stops Diamond Mine's momentum there. Bobby Fish tags in, takes control of Rust with some stiff kicks and a diving clothesline. Then, off of a distraction, Roderick Strong drops Fish onto the apron to shift momentum back towards the Diamond Mine here. Axe kick by Rust, and now the heels isolate Roddy Strong for a bit. Stiff kicks to Fish's chest by Rust, and he claws at Fish's face while applying a submission just to sort of drive home the fact that they are a heel group. Rust turns his focus to Kushida in the corner for a moment, and that's just enough for Fish to hit him with a spine buster. We get a hot tag by Kushida with handsprings and kicks and another divorce court to Roddy Strong. Gut-wrench powerbomb by Rust and a strike exchange with Kushida. Flipping snapmare that we like by Tyler Rust. Bobby Fish has to make the save on the pin attempt there. Yeah, that was his
finisher, I think.
Yeah. The finish comes with a jumping knee off the top by Kushida, a boot by Tyler Rust, but Kushida follows him to the ropes, applies the hoverboard lock, and Rust taps out fairly quickly after about 11 and a half minutes.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, your thoughts?
I thought it was a good TV tag match. I did like it, but I thought I would like it more. So, for some reason.
I think a different result you would have liked more.
Yeah. Part of that may be that Diamond Mine lost in their, collective debut, which I think is kind of an odd choice for a new faction.
Agree. It's in my notes too.
Rust and Strong both won their debuts or returns.
Yep.
Their debuts under this moniker.
Right.
And then the Diamond Mine faction. This was legit the faction debut, and they lost, which I think is an odd choice.
I agree.
Especially to Kushida and Bobby Fish, who really did not need a win here. And Tyler Rust took the fall, which that's dumb. Why would you do that?
Right.
Honestly. And so the match itself was good. Like I said, it was a tag match fit for TV, but I'm not really happy with the result.
Right.
But I like the match.
Oh, I think beyond you not being happy with the result, I think it's kind of safe to say the result doesn't make a ton of sense. I know we try to just say it's our opinion, but
it's a new faction.
I don't know where this is going.
It's a new faction, right?
Yeah, so that being said, I thought it was a really good match. A really solid pace by all four of them, and as they said, these are all really good wrestlers. Commentary told us, I agree with them. Diamond Mine got to show a lot more here because that first match that Rust had was pretty quick and kind of weird last week. So this got a lot of time. Everyone got a chance to look good. I thought Rust looked really good again here after kind of getting, I thought, shortchanged in his first match with Diamond Mine last week. It looks like Diamond Mine's being presented as this group of technical wrestlers targeting the cruiserweight division so far.
Which does kind of make sense because he did say Kushida could be the champion because he's more wrestling focused, so that is an ideal spot for this division.
Yes.
And then maybe they can eventually move up.
I think that's the plan.
I feel like there's potential for this wrestling kind of faction up in the card because that's kind of what the foundation is.
And they're kind of setting this precedent of starting in the cruiserweight and moving up Swerve and Escobar, right? So I kind of like that idea.
Right.
I thought this was a really good opening match. Although one thing I think Bivens needs to start cutting some more promos and explaining a little.
I saw a thing of them before NXT. Yeah. It was they were talking he told the camera guy to get out. He's I told you, Diamond Mine is open for business. It's still
the only thing is
no elaboration.
We're trying to make money.
Right, no elaboration. Right. But one, how are you making money? Two, elaborate on just anything really.
They need to add some information. I agree. So match was really good. Can't say I'm happy with Diamond Mine's presentation so far.
Yeah,
again, Rust,
I'm really not thrilled.
Rust
with that.
won a quick, strange match against Fish, and now Strong and Rust lose to a thrown together tag team. Yes, one of them's a champion right now, but nonetheless.
But again, I think one, he would not be too affected by loss. Two, just have Fish take the fall.
Exactly. Fish seems to be there to take the fall.
Rust is he's pretty good, I think, but he's really mostly unproven. He's a newer guy, right?
Yep.
He hasn't done anything. And then Roderick Strong, he just came he left from after the Undisputed Era split up thing, and he's come back with his own faction.
Right.
So you can't really have him look weak either.
No.
And Fish,
what else is Bobby doing?
What does Fish have to lose?
Right.
Really? Right.
I agree.
So I think they need to. He should have taken the loss.
It's not the strong start I hoped for Diamond Mine, for sure. Still salvageable because I do like the idea of the group, but I haven't liked the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So Cameron Grimes is driving for LA Knight as they pull up to the arena. Knight is complaining about the GPS or something getting lost, I assume, on the way. He then sort of rudely orders Grimes to get all of the bags out of the trunk. So there's a ridiculous number of suitcases in the trunk. Grimes is struggling with them. He drops one, and Drake Maverick comes up to sort of offer Grimes some help. Grimes says he's fine, but then Knight obviously gets involved, confronts Maverick because he doesn't want his butler sort of getting help from anybody. Things escalate kind of quickly, and we end up with a match being made between LA Knight and Drake Maverick for tonight. What did you think of this first little segment?
So I kind of liked it. It was fine. It was just a little bit to obviously set up a match.
It's growing
later,
on me. Yep.
Which should be decent at least. Can't say I care a ton about Maverick though. But I do kind of like.
I think this is a good use of him, though, right?
Right, Knight's just like a dirtbag. He won't even like let his butler get help, even though like it doesn't affect him.
Right.
He kind of just like he wants to punish Grimes, so that's
and that's what I'm kind of liking is that Grimes will never give Knight the satisfaction of seeing him get upset about being the butler, right? So either Grimes honestly doesn't care and he's kind of having a good time with it, or he's just refusing to show Knight that he cares. So it's this idea that Knight's constantly trying to humiliate Grimes, but Grimes isn't able to be.
He's best to not care.
Grimes just isn't humiliated
until later.
He just kind of looks on the bright side of everything, right? And then that sort of takes a dark turn a little bit later. But I kind of find that idea interesting, right? Like one guy trying to humiliate the other, and the other guy just not being humiliated, and the original guy being frustrated about it. We then get an Odyssey Jones promo, one of the competitors in the breakout tournament, right? A big man. I think he's like over 400 pounds, they're saying, and pretty tall too. I don't know how tall exactly. But he says since coming to NXT, he has broken records in the weight room and broken jaws in the ring, and he's about to break out.
Right. He's ironically had a couple matches on 205 Live.
Yes.
Even though he's like
400 pounds.
A Mark Henry guy or something.
What did you think of the little... I mean, this was really short, I thought.
But it was fine, but another like one of these get to know him things, which I was saying. Like, I want these, so that's good. Yeah,
short, standard, straightforward. I thought it was fine as well. Some of his ring attire showed in his highlights I wasn't a big fan of, but that's a minor detail. We then get Frankie Monet, who now for the first time is being accompanied by Jessie Kamea, formerly of the now defunct Robert Stone brand, I guess.
Yeah.
Versus someone I did not recognize, JC Jane. Have we seen JC Jane before? You usually remember.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
The name doesn't come to mind, but it's a jobber name. So
it was essentially an enhancement match to show, I guess, the alliance between Monet and Kamea now, and to introduce the idea of Mandy Rose, who was hanging around for some unknown reason. Whether she's scouting somebody,
I really don't want her,
or trying to irritate them, I don't really know. But anyways, I thought Monet looked like a star in her entrance. She had like this all white, very flashy gear on tonight, on her way to the ring. We then get an enziguri and a big boot by the challenger, running double knees in the corner by Monet. Mandy Rose is, quote, on commentary, but she's not really. She's just lounging across the table.
Literally on commentary.
Not actually saying anything.
She's like just lying on the commentary
table. And so she keeps catching Monet's eye throughout this match. Jane hits a neck breaker, and then basically there's a glam slam by Monet for the win. I mean, what did you think of the match? I'll let you go first, sorry.
So I thought it was a fine squash again. I guess it was a little better than like
that's pretty much what I said too.
But like, and the jobber I thought got a surprising amount of offense. And
agree.
I don't know why
you read
Mandy
my notes?
Rose showed up here.
Right.
But I don't care. I want her gone.
Yep.
Like, why? I still don't know why she's here, other than she got traded.
Yes, I don't either. They haven't offered any explanation yet, right? I agree. I thought this went a bit longer than I expected. Jane got quite a bit of offense in as well. I agree. I think it was better than Monet's last match, but I still haven't been super impressed with her, and we really like her coming into this, right? I've seen a ton of her and quite like her.
Right. I really feel like so far this NXT run hasn't captured what we like. The reason we are happy about this because we've seen her before, like we know she's
what she's capable of. Yeah.
So it's kind of sucks that she hasn't really. Maybe like we said, it's just the jobber matches, right? Maybe she needs something she can sink her teeth into.
Exactly. The next thing I was gonna say, she needs to step up the competition, have a more competitive, longer match.
Right. Like she had an interaction with Io.
Yes.
Or, I would say she should challenge for the tag titles, but her partner's Jessie Kamea, so I take it back.
Is she a babyface, or what is she?
I don't think.
I don't know.
Her entrance, like the character, from what I'm getting from it, I don't think she's a babyface.
I don't either, but I'm not sure.
Right.
So I think she needs to step up the competition, work with somebody better where she can showcase more.
Maybe like some segment thing to like really like.
Yeah.
We need to get more of the character. Yep. I guess.
She's just kind of under-delivered for me since arriving, but I think she can still be a big part of the women's division. I'm just not sure you debut a star and have multiple somewhat competitive enhancement matches, right? As your Like, I don't think that's the strongest way to build someone.
Right.
And skeptical me, knowing WWE, I'm hoping it's not the case. It's one of those, she was a star somewhere else forever first, so we're going to sort of underuse her. I hope that's not a symptom in NXT.
Io Shirai kind of was too, right?
But that's not North America.
Japan. So that's fair.
To them, that doesn't even exist.
I'm trying to think if there's any, like, just to...
But anyways.
I don't think of any.
I hope that's not the case, because I want her to do well.
She's good. Yeah, I do want her to do well as well.
So Mackenzie then is talking to Johnny Gargano backstage about Gargano's loss to Karrion Kross last week. Theory is there too, and he's kind of funny. He says that he hasn't slept in weeks, and then Gargano has to point out to him that the loss only happened 1 week ago, right? So this idea that Theory's kind of like the lovable meathead, right? Like he's trying to support his buddy, but he's just not smart enough to do a good job of it. Kyle O'Reilly shows up, and things escalate quickly here too. He basically challenges Austin Theory to a match later in the show, since he heard Theory say something about him. Was that last week, I want to say? I don't even remember, to be honest, but apparently their paths crossed. Theory accepts the challenge, and after...
Yeah, I don't remember it.
So. After O'Reilly leaves, Gargano tells Theory if he wants to be like Papa John, Theory has to do what Gargano did last week and wrestle his next match by himself without Gargano at ringside. What'd you think?
I thought it was fine. It was kind of confusing, though, because I don't remember anything.
It kind of feels like a really quick, I worry about O'Reilly
versus Austin Theory, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think O'Reilly's a bit lost. Yeah, I thought it was fine too, because it sets
it furthers my point that I think they need to do the Cole rematch, because at least that gives them something meaningful to do.
It feels like they're giving O'Reilly a new gimmick based off this match, but we'll get there. I thought this was fine. It, like you're saying, it sets up a match I kind of don't mind seeing, because I think Theory's been quite impressive lately. And Gargano and Theory seem to be almost a separate entity from LeRae and Indy at this point, but I think they're together a bit later, aren't they? So maybe not.
Yeah. It's like they're kind of doing their own things, but they're still a faction, kind of.
I do think Theory and Johnny are developing some pretty solid chemistry. I think Theory does a good job in this like comedic kind of meathead role that he's in. Even Barrett describes him as a meathead at one point in the match, right? Like that's kind of what they're going for. So it's kind of like he's the sweet, simple guy, I guess. I don't know. So Wade Barrett had a sit down earlier today with Bronson Reed, and we get to see it. Barrett asks about losing the North American title and how it's affected Reed's life. Reed says it has affected himself and his supporters and his wife, who supported him for 14 years. He's trying to stay in the mindset of a champion and keep fighting. He's decided why not fight the best, which I guess would be Adam Cole at this point. And then he's asked about his match with Adam Cole. He says he's already shut him down before, and now he's going to finish the job. Your thoughts on Bronson Reed?
So I thought it was good, but I think they should have elaborated more on why he's just not going after Swerve.
Right, like I'm just out on the North American title.
Like this was good, and it confirms what should be a good match, although I'm worried that's Reed's send-off.
Yeah, it could be.
But I think this was a good chance to kind of elaborate on that, or maybe set him on course, but they didn't.
Right. So. I thought this was just okay. I thought Reed has done a lot of better stuff before. It was kind of standard. He didn't have a ton of emotion here, which I thought he'd been doing a better job on recently. And it's not the greatest explanation for walking away from the North American title feud without seeking a rematch at all.
Right.
So you're saying that, and I guess he's probably right, that Adam Cole without any sort of belt is a bigger deal than going for the second belt on the show.
Right, but
so that's not the message. It's probably true, but is that the message you want to send?
Wouldn't he want to get the belt back that he lost though, regardless?
You would think. Like no, he just
whether it's
abandoned it.
North American title, the 24/7 title, like wouldn't you at least want to get it back?
Right. I don't know. But we do get that match will be coming up. But first, oh no, that's what we're getting, right? So this one starts with a lock up to start. Sorry, I just got confused
O'Reilly versus Theory?
By my own notes for a second there. Yes. And this leads to Theory tossing O'Reilly kind of across the ring. Suplex, corner strikes by Theory as he maintains control, all while calling Kyle a crybaby. Kyle takes control, shows he's one step ahead by kind of casually slapping Theory. Theory's trying to get a bunch of moves done. Kyle's sort of one step ahead of him and just a mocking slap to him. Kyle then had some kicks, knees, and chops as he tends to. Rolling blockbuster by Theory for 2 that looked pretty cool. A roll through dropkick attempt countered into a heel hook by Kyle that looked pretty nice as well. Just kind of grabs his foot out of midair. Slingshot stomp into a fisherman suplex by Theory that I thought was a nice combination. Repeated knees and kicks by O'Reilly to finally stop Theory, who got a lot of offense here in the middle part of this match. We get a double underhook flip right into an armbar by O'Reilly, which was a really nice transition. Kyle then, of course, is focusing on Theory's left arm. We get a torture rack into a blue thunder bomb by Theory that was pretty cool. A brain buster onto his knee with the other leg trapped by Theory, which is also cool. The action heads outside, and Theory at one point grabs the steel steps. We're told... So O'Reilly kind of what they're saying snaps here, and commentary makes sure to go out of their way to tell us it's because when Theory grabbed the steps, it reminded Kyle of the neck injury. So we're right inside Kyle O'Reilly's head at this point, right? The man touches the steel steps, and they just know that this is what is triggering O'Reilly, because he took that brainbuster from Cole on the steps before. So obviously you can tell I probably have a problem with that part there. But anyways, we get the top rope knee drop to the leg and a heel hook applied by O'Reilly. Theory finally taps, and Kyle doesn't release the hold because he snapped. Commentary again go out of their way to explain that Kyle O'Reilly has snapped. What did you think of this match and this new, what seems to be O'Reilly's kind of gimmick as the snapping guy?
So this was a good TV match. Theory hit a number of cool moves. So the O'Reilly thing, he was good too. But his, like, the switch flip thing was many notches below Ilya Dragunov.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this will be a continuing thing. I hope it's not, 'cause it's just like, I don't know. It's not.
I think it is,
that,
buddy.
It's not that interesting. Like, it's very basic.
It is very, like, we don't know what to do with this guy. What can we do?
And it's kind of dumb, like, that just, like, it automatically sets him off. Like,
yeah.
And, like, I don't know, if they don't have anything to do with them, just book a Cole rematch. It's not that hard to do. They're at one apiece. Like, I don't know how they're lost with him right now, because they literally have the easiest thing they could possibly do. It's
but
a
maybe
rubber
they
match.
didn't think that was worth going back to. Like, I'm worried that they've kind of, Kyle got his shot near the top, and they're like, it wasn't anything, so we don't need him back.
Really?
Up there.
He had some good matches.
I think so too, but I don't know. Like, I feel like this, because... And what bugs me is that commentary can't just say he snapped and we don't know why. We'll have to figure this out, and maybe we get a vignette.
They automatically
it's like
know.
We're in his mind, and we know that he's thinking about that time Adam Cole hit him with it, and that snapped him. Like,
well, I mean, it's implied, but, like, they could, like,
just find out later.
Is this what it is? Like, maybe, like,
it's one of those show us instead of telling us. Let Kyle tell us something else. Anyways, I thought this match was really good.
Yeah, I think Theory is rapidly improving in the ring.
I
think he's pretty good.
He controlled the majority of this, and I thought he looked really good doing it. He's got some really cool offense. You know what it reminds me of? Kind of a smaller Brian Cage. He's got a lot of, like, video game looking offense that he pulls out, and he's starting to put some combinations together too. I really liked this match. I thought Theory seemed a little more serious than usual. And maybe he could go with the immature meathead and a killer in the ring. That would be okay by me.
Yeah.
O'Reilly
just
did
like kind of another switch flip, but, like,
yeah,
not like all of a sudden. It's just like he's serious.
Like, he's not very smart in real life, but he's somehow a savant in the ring kind of thing. O'Reilly did what he usually does, but I'm nervous again about this snapping gimmick. I think it's kind of bordering on lazy, but it appears to be where they're going, because commentary hit us over the head with it a couple times.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it's not something they're coming back
and
to.
a bit of fantasy booking for me is I want Theory to turn on Gargano, and he could say use Gargano to get better, which I feel like maybe that's what's happened. Because, like, I feel like he's really improved as of late. And he could say, like, he's used Gargano to get better,
and now he's
until
done.
He thinks he's better than Gargano, and this could set off Theory going back to his, like, reverting back to that heel character he used to do, which I think he was good, and now that'll be much better now that I think he's good in the ring.
Yeah.
And then Gargano can go back to being Johnny Gargano, and they could I feel like they could have a really cool feud.
Yeah, I actually thought Theory, you're saying he's improved. My final note here was that I thought he kind of outshined O'Reilly a bit here.
Yeah.
Like, he got a ton of this. It was kind of
like... And he really impressed me. Remember the tag match that I really liked a few weeks back? Like, I thought you really did good in that as well.
It felt like they kind of went, all right, so Kyle's going over, but you get the middle, like, 2/3 and do your thing sort of thing. And he did a good job, I thought.
Yeah, and so, I mean, the segment in a bit doesn't exactly give me hopes for this, but I feel like a Gargano Theory feud would be really good.
Yep. Well, you never know.
Especially with, like, the ideal roles.
Mackenzie then asks Raquel Gonzalez about Xia Li's comments. Raquel says everyone's saying the same thing, but Kai beat Ember Moon and Li won't be fulfilling her destiny. Dakota says Raquel is going to destroy Xia Li for interrupting her moment last week, meaning Kai's moment, right? When she won the match, is that? And then Xia Li just walked right past Dakota and got in Raquel's face, is what Dakota's referring to here. Mm-hmm. Raquel says none of Tien Sha scare her, and there will be no one else to face after she puts Xia Li down. What did you think?
I thought it was fine. It was a good promo.
Yeah, I did too, but again, at this point, I'm still not getting the matchup right. And my thoughts here is Gonzalez should win fairly quickly here in this match.
Right, it should be pretty decisive.
Which is not necessarily the case, but we'll see. So Legado come to the ring looking sharp, all dressed in their suits, looking good for what they were calling mariachi madness, right? Escobar
Mariachi Madness musical.
Yeah, so Escobar sends the masked mariachis away, saying he won't need them tonight, tells the fans he was going to give them a taste of the best musical heritage in mariachi, but he changed his mind because he won't lower himself to entertain them because they aren't worth it. So it's like, clearly we are establishing ourselves as heels, maybe because this feud is a little bit of heels versus heels. So I felt like this is them going, we're the heeliest, and maybe,
because I feel like if you're gonna go one way, like, who's more likable?
The crowd's gonna make Hit Row babyface.
I don't want them to be babyface. I hate that when there's a cool heel, they have to be babyface. Except for Roman Reigns.
It's because the crowd's gonna turn them anyways, right? It's what's happened to Britt Baker even.
Yeah,
Anyways,
it just sucks though, because people, they become cool when they're turned heel and they just turn face.
Because you and I are always the heels are cooler, basically.
Well, and I feel like, for example, let's take Io Shirai. She turned heel and became cool and then just turned face, and she was still cool, but I feel like she slowly just everyone loves her, but you can tell there's less of that cool factor and just less character to it, right? I feel like that even happened a bit with Finn Balor.
Yeah, it did.
Because he turned heel and then just you could see it slowly fade away.
Yep, that's what happens sometimes. They get too popular. Escobar says he won't do the Hit Row thing and vomit a few lines and embarrass himself. And his style is being true and a real champion. He tells Hit Row he's taking the North American title and putting it up there with blood, tradition, heritage, and his family. Then here comes Hit Row. Obviously, they're going to respond to this. Ashante starts out saying Legado are talking really spicy tonight. They then Hit Row call mariachi music trash, say that Wilde and Mendoza are celebrating their birthday quinceañera thrown by their daddy, Delgado. Basically, he's their dad and it's their 15th birthday party, I guess is what they're saying. Top Dollar says he's like Pablo Escobar and not Santos Escobar. And then he makes a few more kind of clever insults. Swerve takes his chance, says it once took an entire Legado to stop him from getting the Cruiserweight title, so he got a group of his own. He's going to take Santos out, and in 10 years, the apple is not going to fall far from the tree, which I didn't understand, if I'm being honest. Santos says he's taking the title, bringing it back to him, and Hit Row makes their way to the ring now. They step onto the apron. Legado kind of look like they're ready to defend themselves. A brawl obviously begins. Top Dollar and Ashanti take out Legado. Swerve goes immediately for Escobar. Swerve gets knocked down. Santos goes to hit Swerve with a guitar, but B-Fab grabs it and Swerve knocks Escobar down. B-Fab hands the guitar over and Escobar flees the ring, and unfortunately Joaquin Wilde is left behind all alone. Hit Row surround him.
It's kind of dumb because Escobar's don't do it. What are you gonna do about it?
Right. And so Wilde gets startled, and then Ashante hits a super kick. Santos watches. He's furious as they bring the guitar down and break it over Wilde's back. Obviously, you can't have a guitar in a segment in wrestling without it getting smashed.
Right.
So what did you think of it?
Except for the rare times it's accidentally not gimmicked or whatever.
Right, where they're actually playing it, they're probably
But Escobar's promo was fine. I thought Hit Row did good, and I thought they were a little better. Brawl was decent. I like the matches being set up, but I feel like they need to pick up the pace a bit with the build, and maybe I think they need to build with some better segments. I don't know. I feel like the build hasn't been the best so far.
I think it's a bit confusing because of that. Who are we supposed to cheer for? You know what I mean? There's a bit of a disconnect when you put two heel
and
groups
it's basically
together.
just Escobar wanted the title, but then Reed lost the title, so then he was gonna go after the guy with the title.
So I like both of these groups, and I'm sure I'm gonna like any match they have, but I don't know if they fit together really well.
Right, it is kind of odd, yeah.
I like that Legado tried to establish that they're full heel by really going after the crowd to start. I thought Hit Row was really good, as they almost always have been. But I think they run the risk, because they're so good, of making the people they work with look bad, because they're so good at insulting people and looking really cool doing it, right? It's hard. It's not putting over the other group. It's making them look worse because you're so good at it. And Rock used to be guilty of that too, right? At times. But a fun segment. And again, it should lead to interesting matches, but I'm not sure that these two groups fit together the best. So the Way are finally all together backstage. Candice says things have been awful lately. She and Indy lost the women's tag team titles. Gargano couldn't beat Cross is the choice of words she used, which I thought was good.
And then he was like, thanks for reminding me, which I thought was kind of funny.
And Theory keeps starting fights with people he can't beat. Indy says to go easy on him, and that if Theory wants to kiss Dexter, let him. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
As like the love-obsessed teenage girl, right, who can't think of anything else.
She's still defending him, but then it's like kind of making it about her. So what? Yeah, that was pretty funny.
She just like can't think of anything else at this point.
That was pretty funny.
Candace talks about wanting to call back the therapist. Theory says that this family is falling apart, and he kind of just walks off, leaving the others to argue. What did you think?
He like tries to high five Gargano again, but like they're just like too busy.
Right.
Like...
So he just kind of walks away. What'd you think?
So I thought this was pretty good. It was kind of amusing. I liked Indy, like she was defending Austin, but then it like just became about her, like just because she.
I thought that was funny too, actually.
This gives me little hope for my fantasy booking.
I was just gonna say, do you think that's?
But it's still possible. Maybe
is this the tiny little seed of a Austin Theory getting out of this, or?
Yeah, but not in the way I would like.
That you're hoping, right? They could always change gears.
But I like the dynamic of Candace still being like the controlling heel, and Gargano's kind of evolved.
Yes.
Right? I think there's a lot of cool dynamics here, and like it's kind of Indy and Austin are just finding their own way, kind of like the children of the family, right?
Yep.
They have established the dynamic of like the parents and like kind of the quote unquote kids, and so like Candace is still like trying to get rid of Index and like focus on the tag titles, and Gargano's like, because we have noticed Gargano's kind of like less heel or like less serious heel, right? So like there's kind of. It's kind of been evolved.
Yeah, I like the way it has evolved too, because in the beginning it was always Candace and Johnny were the focus of everything, and then the other two were just kind of there. But now it's like this is developmental, so it's like each of the younger ones have paired up with the veteran, right? And they're sort of gaining a lot from working.
I think Theory has, especially.
I think Hartwell is too. Her character work I'm finding pretty good. In ring, whatever, that can come. I think it's harder for people to do good character work. I think it's easier to find people who can wrestle than people who can sell a character. But I guess we'll see. So yeah, I didn't mind this either. Regal then approaches Samoa Joe, assures him that Cross will be here, but to calm down. Joe says he respects Regal, but he will be the first one to greet Cross, and Regal tries to emphasize peacefully. So again, just coming back to this thread throughout the show, I like this. Each segment's really short. Joe's really intense, and that comes through. And Regal's just like the concerned GM that doesn't want anything violent to happen that's not in the ring sort of thing. I don't know. I like this a little bit. What about you?
Yeah, I liked it. It was fine. It's a good story. I think it's going to be Cross's downfall, so I'm all for it.
Right. Then we get the second match of the Breakout Tournament, which is putting Andre Chase, formerly known as... I think it's Harlem Bravado. He was part of the Bravado Brothers. I've seen them a bunch in the Indies. He's been around a long. I actually looked up how old he is because he's been around forever.
He was the guy who won the qualifying match. I think that was on 205.
Yeah, because I was like, is this guy how? Yeah, I think he's like 35 or something. So not exactly a young guy, but that's okay. Against Odyssey Jones, who is that big powerhouse. So I don't know anything about Odyssey, but I'm interested to see him, and I have seen Harlem Bravado a bunch, so I kind of know what he's capable of. He doesn't necessarily have the look of a big-time WWE star, but NXT cares less about that, right? So Chase is being billed as the smaller one, but having the ring IQ and experience, and he's going to have to use that to sort of overcome this massive powerhouse. So Chase starts out trying to avoid Jones' power, but eventually gets clotheslined over the top out to the floor. Chase slingshots over the top to the floor, and Jones is supposed to catch him at one point, but he doesn't, and it leads to an awkward-looking landing where sort of Chase almost got dropped on his face. Yeah. You know? Jones runs into the scaffolding and then the ring post for a near fall. Outside, in stunner by Chase, followed by a moonsault for 2. Jones runs over Chase twice, then hits what I kind of call the sloppy-looking crossbody and a corner splash. Jones then hits... I asked you what it was. We didn't really know. It's like a finishing slam, kind of like a freak accident, but not
He kind of like picks him up in a back slam, and then it kind of... So you kind of pick... Like, so... Andre Chase is running the ropes, right? Yes. And he picks him up in a back suplex, and then switches and kind of like slams him down with his other arm.
Right.
I guess.
I don't know what they're going to call it, but it was very effective, and the match is over. What did you think?
I thought this was just okay. I didn't think there was anything really super interesting.
Yeah.
There are a couple spots of sloppiness that we noted.
Yes.
And like the first match, it kind of ended on a seemingly random move that didn't really feel like it should finish a match. Like the first one ended on a boss man slam.
Right.
This one just like he just kind of slammed him down. Like it really didn't feel like it should have ended like that. It's just like a sudden ending, you know, just like it feels like almost retro in the aspect that like they're not really winning with finishers.
It'd be one thing if like commentary had been like, and watch out for his finishing move, the whatever, and then they're like, there it is, you know what I mean? But it was just like, here's something
where they would just win with anything. They also really wanted to drive home the point that Jones is a big man who's surprisingly athletic, akin to Keith Lee or Hansen.
Yes.
But I really didn't see that here, other than like a ninja roll kind of deal.
Agree.
Which is just meh. So like, I don't know if that's one of his main things. Show me that, you know?
Yep. I thought this was a match where the losing man looked quite a bit better than the winner. I thought Chase looked good and smart, trying to use his tactics to avoid getting too close to Jones, right? You just got to keep the powerhouse from getting his hands on you, basically. And he did some cool stuff. And then Jones, on the other hand, wasn't really asked to do much at all, but still made a couple of mistakes, I thought. So I just thought this was okay, and I wasn't impressed by my first time seeing Odyssey Jones. But, I mean, obviously impressive-looking guy, but I didn't think he looked great in the ring, at least at this point. So Mackenzie's backstage with MSK, asks them what's next. They say they're willing to welcome all challengers. Mackenzie asks what MSK stands for, right? And then they start to explain it to us, and they're going to flash back. But then Imperium cuts in, and a vignette where they talk about the division, what the division has become. They kind of insult the teams in the division and say that MSK has had a meaningless title reign. They will be back. They're going to take back the division by any means necessary. And then we cut back to MSK talking to Mackenzie. But of course, we missed the explanation of what MSK stands for, and we still don't know. What did you think about this kind of like 2 promos in one kind of idea?
So I thought the Imperium package was good, and I thought it was funny the way they put it in, to continually avoid what MSK stands for.
Do you think that's going to be a recurring thing?
Maybe.
Could be, right?
Maybe if they need to. I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, so I thought the Imperium, it was basically an Imperium segment. Was. So I thought it was good. It's a clear next feud, I guess.
Yep.
They're not going to win, but at least that's like a clear heel face dynamic, which we seem to be getting less of at the moment.
We do. I like they tried something different here by splicing one promo into another, but so I always am like, are we to believe, right? Are we to believe that Imperium somehow have access to the production truck, or they know someone on the inside,
or someone screwed up,
or they have Sami Callihan powers all of a sudden? But anyways, I like that they're trying something. It interrupted an MSK comedy promo, which I'm normally not a big fan of. So I think
there's also that.
I think it would be kind of a funny thing going forward, where MSK keep trying to explain what the name means, and they keep getting interrupted somehow, so that they don't really have to cut promos, because I don't think that's their strength. So then we get Pete Dunne. He's backstage with Oney Lorcan. Dunne says he's been begging people to prove they're better than him for weeks. And finally, Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa have stepped up. He calls them out for a tag match. Lorcan gets one line and says they'll see how tough Thatcher and Ciampa really are. What did you think of this brief, to the point promo?
Another solid promo from Dunne. I thought reiterating what he always says with like that he's the best and whatever.
Yep.
Should be a great match next week, but I really just want it as a one-off.
Yep. Pete Dunne is a singles guy. He should be on his own. He should be doing a lone wolf. We say it every week.
But it'll be a great match.
I can see why Oney Lorcan rarely gets the chance to speak. He wasn't very good, and Dunne was fine, I thought. Back to LA Knight. This time he's going to be facing Drake Maverick in the ring, because Drake had the gall to offer help to the butler, Cameron Grimes. He do that? So Grimes looks like he's having the time of his life coming out to the ring here. I noticed again, right? He's refusing to be humiliated, and just continues to be like having fun, and like the glass is always half full for him, no matter what he's kind of being made to do.
Right.
Knight gives Grimes the belt to hold above his head as the match takes place, and he insists that Grimes is holding it above his head, right? And he even stops a couple times to make sure that Grimes is doing this if he starts to let the title drop. Mm-hmm. So we get a brief flurry by Maverick to start before a belly to back by Knight kind of changed the momentum. Knight goes outside, again, as I said, to position Grimes and remind him to hold the title up. We get a top rope crossbody by Maverick, a fall-away release slam by Knight, so he doesn't fall down with Maverick. He just kind of throws him over his head. Knight again yells at Grimes to hold the title up, and as he reaches kind of through the ropes to adjust it to put it in the position he wants, Maverick shoves him from behind. Knight's head runs into the title. Maverick then rolls him up for the win. And Grimes and Maverick sort of look like they're about to start to celebrate, but Knight attacks Maverick and tells Grimes that the loss is all his fault. Grimes finally pulls Knight off of Maverick, but Knight then orders Grimes to attack Drake. Grimes tries to leave, but Knight drags him back in the ring, insists that Grimes punch Maverick in the face, and you can see that Grimes is torn. He does a really good job of looking like just broken up by this.
He really acts it up or whatever. He does do a good job, yeah.
So he does punch him in the face, but then he sort of just goes and collapses in the corner in regret, which again, I thought he did a really great job of. What did you think of this? This took a bit of a turn, right? So what did you think?
Right. So the match itself wasn't much. It was really just short. It was mostly for the aftermath.
For sure,
right?
It was. Yep.
I like Grimes always getting distracted with the crowd, and then LA Knight always just he had to make sure he's holding it up, right?
Yep. And that was a cost him.
And the aftermath is interesting, and the running story of the Grimes being forced to beat up Knight's opponents. This could have a good payoff. Knight is finally the one being hit.
Yep.
Right. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I liked. It looked like the shenanigans were going to backfire again on Knight, right? Because he lost the match, and Grimes kind of gets the last laugh. You could even see
Grimes, he was telling him to go, yeah. But Maverick made the mistake of kind of running to the other side of the ring instead of just, ducking out, because that's how he got hit.
And then things took a turn, right? And Knight went full evil, and we got to feel really bad for Cameron Grimes, because he does a great job here of, not wanting to do this.
But, he's got to.
I don't mind the change here, right? So this is Knight is smart enough to recognize, I'm not humiliating this guy. This guy is just too stupid or whatever.
So he's finally found something.
So now I found something. I'm going to step it up. I just wanted to embarrass you, but now I want to just torment you, right? And make you feel awful about yourself.
If I can't embarrass you, I'm going to find something else to do, right?
I kind of liked where this is going when it made this darker turn. It's more than just comedy segments now, right? Which is what we always say, that Grimes is capable of everything.
Right.
So don't just put him in a comedy box. He can do this as well. So
right. Yeah,
I kind of like how
that kind of... This is proof of that.
Grimes has been getting the upper hand. Now Knight finally gets the upper hand, and we're going to see where it goes. So I kind of like where this is going.
Right, and I think there's potential for a good payoff for this.
Yep, I think so too. So Gonzalez is shown getting warmed up ahead of her match against Xia Li. We then get a brief Xia Li Gonzalez highlight package. Karrion Kross's car arrives at the arena. Joe basically rips the door open, but Kross isn't the one inside. He kind of manhandles the driver, and the driver sort of indicates that Kross is somewhere already in the arena. So Joe kind of ditches him and leaves quickly to go and find Karrion Kross. We then get a rundown of next week's show before we get to the main event, which is Xia Li versus Raquel Gonzalez with Dakota Kai for the NXT Women's Championship. So again, coming into this, kind of felt that this was going to be kind of a quick, dominant win for Gonzalez, as Li hasn't really shown she's at this level to this point, I don't think, either in real life or storyline-wise, I would suggest. So that was my expectation. It's not quite what I got, but let's talk about it. So in Xia's intro today, she has the big sword with her, but she did come out alone, right? And commentary even pointed out there's no Boa, no other person.
Shaw.
Yes, none of them. So Xia Li randomly challenged Gonzalez at the reboot sort of last week, right? She's recently beaten Mercedes Martinez, accidentally kind of knocked her out for real with the head kick. And Lee was also kind of disrespectful to Kai by ruining her moment and dismissing her on her way to challenge Gonzalez. So that's where we stand.
Which happened last week.
That's right. Kind of a very quick build in the microwave for this one. Early shoulder tackle by Gonzalez after Lee tries many different kinds of holds and just couldn't get anything on Gonzalez. Lee escapes to the corner but gets run over by a big boot on her way out. Gonzalez out to the floor, and she lawn darts Xia Li into the ring post that looks pretty good. Gonzalez goes to boot Xia Li's head into the post, but Lee moves, smashes Gonzalez's knee off the post repeatedly before shoving Gonzalez into the steel steps. So this is how she sort of stops Gonzalez's initial onslaught. Lee continues to grab Gonzalez's knee using to attack it using the ropes and kicks. We get a single leg crab by Lee, still targeting that leg. Lee gets caught a little bit later and a fall-away slam by Gonzalez, clubbing clotheslines and a drop kick by Gonzalez, tornado kick to Gonzalez back for 2 by Xia Li. Gonzalez slams Lee, hits a flipping Vader bomb for 2. And so this, they showed the replay, she kind of landed directly with all her body weight on Lee's midsection. Right. And she's hurt, so the refs, they have to stop.
I did hear that she had some sort of rib injury, and I think this appears to be it.
I'm shocked if she hasn't cracked a rib. She at very least got the wind knocked out of her, which sucks, and it either cracked or broken rib, possibly. So then Leah's finally okay, and basically Gonzalez just hits her one-arm powerbomb finisher, and it's over. So I don't know if that was the planned finish, or they were just out of time, or they had to rush to the finish because Lee did get hurt. But I don't think this is the way they drew it up. But what did you think of the match, including that, I guess?
So I thought it was a fine match, but I think Lee getting hurt, I think, hindered the match. It also didn't help that I don't care a ton about Lee and Tian Sha.
Right.
And there's only one way this match could go, and it was built like last week.
Yes.
Like that really did not help.
Yeah, I thought match-wise it over-delivered for me. I was disappointed that it kind of got thrown off track by the end. But I think this might have been Xia Li's best match, kind of by a fair margin. She was believable by the end of this as a threat to me. She just it was attacking the knee and constantly doing that. She found believable ways sort of to get this match competitive, and I was honestly kind of surprised. The match told a pretty effective story, and I got more into it than I really expected that I would. The injury seemed legit. It's too bad. I still think this was a success for Xia Li, because I was like, she doesn't belong. But after this, I'm like, you know what? Maybe not at this exact moment, but she's pretty close. She's closer than I thought she was. Better main event than I expected. Samoa Joe storms to the ring, calls out Karrion Kross, because he did say this would be settled today, right? Kross appears on the Tron instead of in person, says that this isn't Joe's NXT, this is Kross's NXT now. His title says he can go where he wants, do what he wants, and hurt whoever he wants, as long as they're not Jeff Hardy. For example... he then says, for example, the camera pans down to reveal William Regal has been beaten. Looks like unconscious. And
I think it was in the parking lot.
That's dangerous place to be. Kross asks Joe, who's already running to the back, if he feels in control still. Kross drives off just as Joe runs outside, and I guess this won't be settled today. What did you think of this final
segment? I thought Joe did a good job being angry again and just looking unstable. I like Kross taking a Regal to further antagonize Joe, and when Joe finally gets his hands on Kross, should be a good payoff, especially if Kross loses the title. And it'll be kind of cool if Regal books a match now, because he too is provoked.
Yep.
And kids, remember, never go to the NXT parking lot.
Ever. It's the least safe place in
luggage,
America.
Or a title. Or a car.
For me, it's kind of hard to see Kross as this vicious monster after knowing, right, he jobbed to Jeff Hardy in 2 minutes.
And I don't know, he's never really come across to me as a monster kind of guy.
But even less now,
well,
right?
Yeah, he lost to Jeff Hardy.
They've sort of hurt him by... Like I was so looking forward to this confrontation with Joe and Kross, and I still am.
You've had guys like Angel Garza beating Jeff Hardy on like main event, and then you have Kross losing to him on Raw.
And even leading up to that, I've talked about it on this show. You have like Cole and O'Reilly and whoever else talking about how Kross lacks wrestling ability, right? So they have not done this guy any favors, and I'm not a big fan of his, but he hasn't been treated well on NXT, really. I mean, winning, yes, he wins every match, but he beats guys that are there like, I can wrestle circles around you, you don't really know what you're doing kind of thing, which isn't great. And then he loses to Hardy. But anyways, it's fine. Joe is awesome, so hopefully they can pull something out of this.
Right.
Overall thoughts and a letter grade for this episode.
So overall, decent show. Not as good as some of the latest weeks, because I've been pretty high on NXT, not gonna lie. Like, I feel like Great American Bash, and even the week before, was pretty good, and last week was good.
Yep.
The Joe Regal segment to start was good and short, while also being good. Diamond Mine v Kushida and Fish. The tag match didn't quite capture what I expected, probably because I wanted a little like more of a showcase for wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for. I wanted to have something like that Ciampa match again.
Yes, we say that every week. Yep.
I don't know. It was just good. And the result was also wrong with Diamond Mine taking a loss in their tag debut, especially with Russ taking the fall.
Agree.
I feel like Knight and Grimes arriving was decent. I like Grimes still being happy and Knight being a dirtbag, not even letting Maverick help Grimes.
Right.
The Monet squash was fine, but she doesn't seem to be being positioned in a good spot because she's aligning with Jesse Kamea and Robert Stone.
Strong.
And whatever involvement Mandy Rose will have, I don't care and I don't want it. Bronson Reed's segment with Barrett was good, enough, and I'm looking forward to Reed versus Cole next week. I feel like that should be good.
Yeah, that'll be a good TV match
Reed
for
now.
Sure. Yep.
O'Reilly versus Reed was a good TV match. Hoping for Theory versus Gargano feud to develop, but we'll see. Honestly, now. O'Reilly's change in aggression was cool at the end, but his face is weird, and Ilya Dragunov is doing a similar thing, but like way better.
Yep.
The Legato Hit Row segment was good, but I need some better development moving forward for like a mid-card title feud. I lost where I am. Okay, there we go. The Ways little segment was good. I like all the dynamics involved, right? Like they all kind of have their own thing. It's kind of it was good. I liked it.
Yep.
This week's Breakout tournament match wasn't the best, and I didn't really love it that much. They seem to be ending on lackluster moves, which doesn't really help at all.
Mm-hmm.
Knight versus Maverick wasn't much. Was mostly there for storyline development. In the aftermath, which I thought was good. Dunn and Lorcan's promo was good enough. I'm looking for the tag match as long as it doesn't keep Dunn occupied in a lesser program.
Right.
The main event was fine. I didn't love it that much. Like, it was good, but honestly, just Lee never felt like a real threat to me.
And it got a bit derailed with the injury,
It did get derailed, which is out of their hands.
Right.
But nonetheless. The Joe and Cross feud also progressed pretty well at the end. With Regal getting attacked, there's been an interesting development, which should have some interesting repercussions next week. Thought overall it was a fine show, but really nothing major to write home about, and I'll give it like a B-.
Okay. I liked it a bit more than you. In-ring specifically, I thought it was a pretty strong show. The opener, I thought, with Diamond Wine was really good. Frankie Monet and JC Jane or whatever was just okay. I thought O'Reilly Theory was really good, and the main event was a lot better than I thought. You're right, the breakout match was not. I wasn't impressed, but I thought there were 3 good matches on this show, which is a pretty good thing to say. Segment-wise, I liked Samoa Joe's performance intermittently throughout the show, but again, that entire story has kind of been cheapened a bit by Cross's presentation in recent weeks. Grimes' Night story took a dark turn that I'm kind of interested in, if I'm being honest. The Bronson Reed sit-down was kind of simple. I felt uninspired, I guess would be the word I would use. Hit Row segment was really strong. They continue to look really cool. One criticism would be the segment, like, I don't know what it accomplished, really.
There wasn't much substance
we didn't
to it,
move
maybe?
anywhere with it, but it was fun to watch still. The Way stuff was the usual Way stuff, kind of amusing, but not amazing. I'm going to give the show a B, almost a B+. I'll keep it at a B, based on the strength of the 3 matches and my growing enjoyment kind of the Night Grimes storyline. Samoa Joe's performance was good too. Not one of their best episodes, but I still think it was good. I had fun watching it, and it went by pretty quickly, which is usually a good gauge of how much I liked it. So a B, almost a B+ this week. All right, so we'll transition into our next segment where we'll do some trivia. We call that segment Off the Top of His Head. Are you ready this week? In honor of your boy debuting on Impact, I pulled up some Jay White trivia.
Oh, that's not good.
All right, so
that might be good.
20 questions on Jay White. You ready? Starting out with my usual stuff. What country is Jay White from?
New Zealand.
Correct. How old is Jay White?
32.
28.
I was going to say 27.
So speaking of New Zealand, which 80s and 90s tag team, also from New Zealand, came to WWE with a violent reputation, but once there were packaged as a comedy team of cousins?
Bushwhackers.
Correct. What was their original name? Do you know?
I do know, but I forgot.
It's one of the all-time contrasts, the Sheep Herders. So they were like violent, bloody, whatever killers in the Indies, and then they came to WWE and were like cartoon characters. It was interesting. Here's one you probably don't know, but it's interesting little tidbit. Jay White had to have which part of his body reattached after an injury while working construction?
His balls.
No, his finger.
Oh.
Jay White said that his interest in wrestling was ignited when he won tickets and attended this WrestleMania that featured The Miz versus John Cena and Michael Cole versus Jerry Lawler.
WrestleMania 27.
Correct. So it even, like the article I was reading even went on to say, like, he wasn't necessarily inspired by the wrestling because those matches weren't great, but he was more like the atmosphere and the energy was what really got him. They're like, it wasn't really the wrestling. True or false? Jay White traveled to the UK to train as a wrestler without having ever set foot in a wrestling ring. True. There were virtually no places to learn in New Zealand, so he left for the UK with 0 wrestling experience. That's pretty cool.
He's good.
One of the following is a nickname that Jay White has never used while wrestling. Which one? Ready?
Okay.
Maori Jay White, which Maori are the indigenous people of New Zealand, just as a little bit of tidbit. All Action Jay White, Outback Jay White, or Jumping, Jamming, Jiggly Jay White.
I feel like that's a trick answer. Well, obviously he's never used Switchblade, so that's the correct answer. But
it's one of those. He's used all of those but one. Which one?
I'll go the Jiggly one.
Jumping, Jamming, Jiggly Jay White. That is incorrect.
I knew it.
It was actually Outback Jay White, because Outback is like an Australian thing, but I thought maybe, so I made that one up myself. The rest apparently were real for brief periods of time.
That's so bad. I knew there was a trick answer, but I honestly couldn't pick any of the other ones. Like, I didn't know, so I just went with that.
Which faction, and specific star if you can, did Jay White turn on in late 2018 before joining Bullet Club?
Chaos and Kazuchika Okada.
Correct. White became the 4th official leader of the Bullet Club. Who were the previous 3?
Kenny Omega.
Correct.
AJ Styles.
Correct.
Prince Devitt.
Correct. See, I was watching back when it was Devitt. That was back in the day.
Right, and then he got booted after losing a loser leaves match to Taguchi, which is his ex-tag partner.
Yep.
And then AJ came in, and before he went to WWE, Kenny betrayed him, and then stuff happened, and Jay White.
Nice. Which New Japan star and current WWE main roster member noticed Jay White in 2014 and thought that he should be invited to New Japan's dojo?
Finn Balor.
Correct.
Yeah, I know that, because he was invited to Bullet Club, but then Omega invited him, but he didn't want to join Omega, and so he already, I think, because I remember I was watching the recount thing, he had already been introduced to Tonga and Fale, which is why he joined them.
Fale apparently relayed the message and got White there. That's what he said, that Balor wanted him there, and Fale went and talked to him about it. Which of the following was not in Jay White's class in the New Japan dojo? So one of these people was not in his class, okay? David Finlay, Shingo Takagi, Sho, and Yo.
Takagi.
Correct. So that's why he has this bitter rivalry with Finlay, that they need to do a better
that
job.
Finlay was in there.
I didn't think they did a great job this week on Impact talking about it, but that's
I figured Finlay had to be in there because that just makes sense.
And I know Sho and Yo are from that era, and Takagi's been a late addition, right, to New Japan.
I figured they're a team, so I figured they were like.
This is a good trivia so far. Let's keep going. Fairly early on, White went on a run of 9 consecutive wins. A number that rose to 10 when White defended the IWGP United States Championship against whom in 2018?
Do you have options?
I have a hint. Do you want to guess one before a hint? Because the hint's pretty big.
Ishii?
No. He's currently in Impact at least some of the time.
Juice Robinson.
Other one. We just mentioned
Finlay.
him. David Finlay's correct. Which famous...
I think White lost it to Juice Robinson.
He's saying here he beat Finlay for his 10th win in a row.
Oh, right.
Which famous TNA tag team from Detroit, who have also wrestled all over the world, played a key role in White's early development?
Motor City Machine Guns.
Correct. My hint was going to be one member in Impact, the other is missing in action, right?
Yeah, well, I just need
Apparently, Alex Shelley really, really liked Jay White and thought he was going to be a star.
Detroit was the obvious.
That was the clue. That was us hoping. White went on excursion to which North American wrestling promotion?
You got a hint?
He's in one of the ones we cover. How's that for a hint?
WWE?
No.
Impact?
No.
AEW?
No.
New Japan?
No. That I cover, I guess.
ROH?
Yes, Ring of Honor is correct. I thought you'd know that one. White was briefly in an ROH stable called Search and Destroy with which 2 other Ring of Honor stars? Hints. One of these stars is still in ROH and a fixture in the Pure Division. The other
Flip Gordon.
No, the other is in Impact, and he's come up already in the quiz.
Mike Bennett.
No. Who's the octopus?
Jonathan Gresham.
So Gresham and Alex Shelley's partner?
Kevin Kelly.
Chris Sabin.
Right. I was just kidding.
I know. True or false? Jay White has defeated Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley every time he's faced them in his career.
True.
False. He has actually never beaten either of them. So I flipped
come
it.
on, Jay White. You suck.
True or false? Jay White has little interest in working for WWE.
True.
At least to this point, because he could have been there for sure.
Yep.
Last 2. Jay White is a Triple Crown champion in New Japan. How many other Triple Crown champions have there been?
Yes, he is.
How many others have there been?
Don't
list them because that's the next question. So silently think about it in your head.
11.
No, 4. Who were the other 4 Triple Crown champions? Care to guess?
What are the titles?
I believe it's before the Never Openweight.
So is that...
I think it's main championship, Intercontinental, and maybe US.
US is before Never
I don't know.
Maybe
they didn't specify.
Ibushi?
Ibushi is 1. They're all pretty big names. I'm surprised Okada wasn't on there.
I don't think he's ever mid-carded.
Who's the John Cena of New Japan?
Tanahashi.
Tanahashi is 1.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Let me think.
Big star, kind of polarizing, I guess, a little bit.
Not Omega, right?
Not Omega.
All right. I don't think he's
Japanese wrestlers still.
Okay.
One with an adjective for a name, and one with a name.
Evil.
Evil is correct. And the final one is a megastar who is kind of like polarizing, I guess, is the right term. One of the megastars recently. Not currently, but not long ago. He was winning everything. Naito.
Oh, Naito.
Yes, Naito.
I was
tried to give you the
Penta
gesture.
For a second.
So that was 20 questions on Jay White. You did pretty well on some of them. I knew I would pick some that stumped you, right? And the last question is designed for you to not know. So that went over well. That's the new gimmick. So
that's not fair.
3 weeks in a row where the last question is one you shouldn't get.
Why don't we ask you stuff?
No, thank you. Anyways, let's transition back into talking about some weekly wrestling, and that is our in-depth review of this week's AEW Dynamite.
Yes. And our opening match is the Labors of Jericho, Chapter 1,
yes.
Which is Jericho versus Shawn Spears in a match where Spears can use a chair and Jericho cannot.
That's right.
So I thought this was, like my description is, it was a bit of a slower paced match, a little slower than more openers that you're probably used to as an AEW fan. Yep. Spears did take advantage of the stipulation advantage that he had, and Jericho would have to bust out some impressive moves like a Frankensteiner to come out on top. Not the most exciting match, but there's solid action throughout, and it was still a good opener, just not perhaps as good or like as similar to other ones.
Yeah, MJF came out for commentary, right?
He did,
and the crowd responded as they should for him, like they hated him, which is good. He didn't get cheered.
What did he say? It was
very
really funny.
Early on, he compares Jericho's physique to that of a pregnant woman, right?
Which
was pretty funny.
Or he says like something like the labors of Jericho. It's not Jericho in labor, but he's
by
like,
his physique, you could make that mistake or something. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That was or he made another joke like if you see a hot girl in Dallas or
what do you call a hot girl in Dallas? A tourist. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
So some corner chops by Jericho. Corner chops by Spears as well. Clothesline by Jericho. Jericho sends Spears into the barricade. These are just the notables. Mm-hmm. Spears throws a chair at Jericho. A step up enziguri by Jericho. Run up, avalanche belly to belly suplex by Spears
that
for
was
2.
Cool.
A la Kurt Angle or something.
It was kind of like that. Not quite as fast or as clean,
right.
but
that's that kind of move.
Yep.
Spears hits Jericho's arm with the chair when it's against the ring post, so kind of a sandwich, which is kind of cool. Comeback flurry by Jericho, and awful looking crowd punches by Jericho. He just like the punches where they count along,
but the crowd really loved it.
And what was pretty cool actually was a Frankensteiner by Jericho. A super kick by Spears for a 2 count. Sit out spinebuster for 2 by Spears. Tully Blanchard is distracting the ref right as Spears begins to tap to the walls of Jericho.
Right.
And Guevara comes out to attack Tully and take him away. Spears counters out of the walls of Jericho with the chair shot and hits his C4, which is just a Death Valley driver for a near fall. And the finish comes. I don't know why I said that. The finish comes when Spears goes for a Death Valley driver with the chair, but Jericho sends him into another chair that's propped up in the corner.
Right.
Followed by a Judas Effect.
And it's over. And
so the post match comes with MJF congratulating Jericho and says if anyone helps him in the other matches, the deal's off. So kind of further stacking the deck.
Right.
And he announces Labor number 2, which will be a no rules or no DQ match against none other than Nick Gage, who has a pizza cutter for some reason.
So I thought MJF did a good job during this match of putting Spears over as this intelligent wrestler with a high ring IQ. I thought he did a better job than regular commentary have done with Spears over his time in AEW.
Well, right, and I think it helps that he can just be so biased towards him, right?
I thought this was actually a pretty good match. Jericho's probably lost a step or two, but that's where having a stipulation like the chairs helps. He can build some drama just by getting hit by chairs, right? Instead of having to work at the rate he used to. I thought Shawn Spears looked really good here. He showcased some cool looking offense. We did get run-ins, but the impact on the match was minimal, so it wasn't a big deal. Like I said, MJF did a good job of building Spears on commentary. I like this a lot more than I thought I would coming into it. I thought everyone, including MJF, did a really good job in the roles in this match, considering that the result was never in question, right? Like, obviously, he's going to win these trials.
Otherwise, the whole thing's over.
But it over-delivered. I quite enjoyed it. I only know Gage by reputation. And I'm only slightly curious to watch him wrestle, if I'm being honest.
He's the deathmatch guy, right?
And I don't think this is going to do much to attract new viewers, but I could be wrong. I think it's more of like a reward to the hardcore fans that already watch Dynamite, because they probably know who this guy is, but I don't know.
Or it's like something to get people talking. Cause like,
are there a bunch of people who love Nick Gage and that world of wrestling but don't watch Dynamite and are gonna
because like they just like deathmatch?
I feel like there isn't, but maybe
just they're the people they just like deathmatch wrestling.
But AEW does death matches, so they're already an
but
AEW
not like
consumer.
Not
they did one on this very show.
Though,
I know,
but like, you know what I mean, like, and they're not really deathmatch wrestling. They've done like a few. But...
I do like that they're getting away from it just being members of Pinnacle that he has to face. So I will say
like Jericho did that, and he brought in Jeff Cobb at the end.
And it's a way to get a surprise and bring in someone new. So at the end of the day, it's fine. I'm just not a big deathmatch guy, so I'm mildly interested.
So I thought this was a fine match. Not exactly what I'm looking for in an opener. Like it was a good match, but not really like
it wasn't the fast paced.
It's not your ideal opener, right? Nothing super interesting, but there was a couple of cool spots. Still enjoyable somewhat. Stipulation was a factor, but not exactly a huge one.
Right.
Labor number 2 reveal is kind of cool. Can't really say how I feel about this because I only, like you said, know him by reputation.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a match ever. I could be wrong.
So I guess we'll see next week.
Right.
So we get a quick promo from Miro. He says there are many champions before him, but there will be none after him. Mm-hmm. And he says he'll fight at Dynamite's homecoming show, so we can build to finding his opponent.
Yep.
He says this is the word of the Redeemer. And I thought this was just another good serious promo from Miro. Nothing really super new to it, other than, like, I guess he'll have a match at the homecoming show. I liked it, too. I think he's adding a little bit. It's this idea that I think is he's going to forgive everybody that thinks that they could possibly defeat him, right? Because they're all going to lose to him, but he's going to forgive them for thinking they had a chance, sort of thing, which I like. It's a little more clearly defined, this new character. And he's just basically a heel that's so confident and arrogant that he's going to forgive people after destroying them for thinking that they were worthy of facing him. And I think it's smart because that championship, the TNT, right, has been the workhorse one and the one that's always defended. So they found a way for like a heel character to be a fighting champion because he's just going to forgive all of these people he destroys, right? So I think redeem them or something.
I think that's smart, and I think it could work, and I like where it's going. So I was happy with this. I thought it was good.
Next we get, I'm sure you're really pumped, Doc Gallows versus Frankie Kazarian.
AKA the low point.
Yeah. And I always joke how we get to hear your favorite theme, but their Good Brothers theme is truly another level of awful.
It's unreal.
It is just...
That's his new nickname, Luke Low Point Gallows for me.
It's not even like...
It's awful.
It's not even like... It's like, it doesn't fit as a wrestling theme, and even if it was a song, it's terrible.
It's so clearly, like, over-the-top, contrived, and, like, going for a certain sound and feel. Like, it's so bad. It's not
good. Whoever's singing needs to just never do that again, as well.
Quit avoiding recapping this 5-star match. Get going, because it was a banger, as the kids say.
So this was a slow match where the big man overpowered his opponent and slowed the pace down a lot.
Yep.
And there was little action to be found. Notables. You'll note that. Let me see. I can count them on one finger. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 notables, and then the finish.
I have one where Gallows gets to no-sell a nice missile drop kick and then hit a boot to Kaz.
So
right away.
Kaz is right on the attack when the bell rings, and like you said, Kaz hits a top rope dropkick, and Gallows just kind of stumbles. He's like,
slowly walks
to the
corner.
So then he doesn't have to take a bump, really. And then he hits a boot.
Yep.
Anderson gets a cheap shot on the outside while the ref is distracted with Gallows. A big, long, epic chin lock by Gallows after a commercial break. A back suplex by Kaz. Good for you, Gallows, taking a little bump.
And then the point, remember I pointed out, he's taking punches from Kaz while zipping up his vest because the zipper had fallen down and I think he was worried that his belly was showing. So he's literally taking punches while adjusting his gear, which looked ridiculous.
Yeah.
Good job, Gallows.
Springboard leg drop for 2 by Kaz. Anderson goes for the shoulder block in the ring, and then he kind of gets he gets caught with the leg drop, and Gallows nails a roundhouse kick, and he wins with his finisher, which is he calls the Gallows pull, but it's basically like the Tyson Neal called it the Clash of the Titans. It's basically like the sit-out
double choke slam.
Punjabi plunge kind of move. Yeah, double choke slam. Or two-handed choke slam.
Yep.
The post-match, Good Brothers begin to lay being on Kaz. Omega and Callis walk out. Callis says Kaz is an example of what happens to you when you mess with the Elite.
Mm-hmm.
Omega says Kaz, well, they're the super Elite. The Elite is, I would consider Omega, Bucks, Cody, Hangman. I mean, Cody's not in it now, but just in general, right? So Omega says Kaz has been a thorn on their side for months and laughs at the Elite Hunter moniker. And he has become the Elite Hunted, which he stumbled on for some reason.
That was on purpose for some reason, and then Callis had to finish the sentence for him, but it was clearly intentional. I don't know why.
Either way, it was odd.
Yep.
As they're about to finish Kaz, Hangman's music hits. He comes out
with a drink.
Yep.
Crowd loves him.
Callis makes the point that Hangman is outnumbered. And he says asks if Hangman is either stupid or drunk. Hangman tries to fight but gets overwhelmed until the odds are even by the Dark Order, and Hangman, Silver, and Reynolds hit a combo flurry on Anderson, which I think they've done before. So I was not a fan of this match. Kaz did as good as we could ask, I think. But Gallows is just not good. He doesn't seem to give a damn whatsoever. Anytime Kaz would get going, it would just be shut down by Gallows, and it would just feel like the match came to a stop every time, and it just got boring.
Yep.
The match was short, but still wasn't good, and this did not feel like a Dynamite-worthy match, especially because this is a TV special.
Yep.
Thoughts?
The match was about what I expected, which was not much, right?
That's true. That's a fair point.
Kaz was trying really hard, and Gallows does next to nothing, but still wins, which was what I expected. Anytime the one wrestler that can wrestle in the match gets started, sort of gets stopped by interference from the outside, right, is what was happening. I guess this was to get to the aftermath, but still... Oh, and a pretty over character like the Elite Hunter failing on his first mission, right, was not a great maneuver, I don't think, either.
Right, well, and giving his first mission
because people loved when Frankie's been running in and attacking people, so I thought they could have ridden that out a bit longer.
Cool gimmick. It's straightforward, but it's cool.
The aftermath was good. I like that Omega basically slipped out of the ring and left the rest to deal with Paige almost immediately, a nice heel touch. I liked that the finishing sequence...
good storytelling from that, right? Just showing he is afraid of Paige.
Yep. The finishing sequence with Dark Order and then Paige hitting the buckshot was pretty cool. And I think Paige got a lot done without really saying anything during this promo, right? He's kind of a special talent, I think. It was like the brave hero stood up to the cowardly villain who ended up running away during this chapter, right? So I thought that was a pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And next we have a Brian Cage interview where he's just shown a Team Taz thing on a monitor.
Please don't speak. We're just going to show you what someone else said.
Right. Taz says history was made last week with the crowning of a new FTW champion. Stark says he'll have a celebration next week, basically. Cage asks if they're still here, and they're not. And he says the celebration works out, though, because he loves celebrations. Basically, he'll be there.
Right, so the implication he's crashing the party, I think.
I thought this was fine. It could be interesting next week, but not much substance to this, really.
No.
Nothing
My
much.
points were Starks is good on the mic, Cage is not, and this was just further evidence of those facts. But an angry Brian Cage showing up and smashing party stuff could be fun to watch, right?
Right, and maybe he'll eventually get his...
comeuppance or his revenge.
Vengeance.
Maybe, yep.
Next we get Darby Allin versus Wheeler Yuta making his second appearance in a row.
Commentary really like to put him over too.
Which, I mean, you might have to do because his only other appearances other than this week and last week have been Dark and Dark Elevation.
But it feels like maybe they have plans to keep using him because they talk about what a technical wizard he is.
That's good.
Yep.
So I thought this was a short TV match with the technically proficient Yuta targeting the weak midsection of Darby Allin after the coffin match last week.
Right.
Throughout this match, with Darby having to rely on his resiliency to come out on top. So there were a few notables from this pretty short match. Darby doesn't have a skateboard, but he does have Sting, so that's just great. Love that.
Same, just as useful.
Suplex drop over the top rope by Yuta, where he has him in suplex position, just drops him kind of stomach first over the top rope. Corner punches targeting the ribs once again by Yuta. An octopus stretch, which is kind of like a hold/submission, again targeting that midsection. But Darby is able to get a rope break. Pretty nice bridging German suplex for 2 by Yuta. Big superplex by Darby, like full on top rope. Orange Cassidy and Sting kind of like the lazy kick exchange, which that was pretty amusing.
I actually liked it too.
I thought that was funny.
I did too.
That was funny. Yuta attempts to take advantage, but Darby kicks out twice from a couple roll-ups. Darby gets a pop-over stunner and a pretty nice coffin drop for the win.
Oh, he nailed the coffin drop.
Right,
man.
and a post-match, Blade kind of attacks Orange Cassidy with the brass knucks because he was at ringside.
Yep.
What'd you think?
So this is the type of Darby match that I've kind of been asking for, right? Where Darby isn't just overpowered and dominated the entire time, but it's a little bit more competitive and he's not giving up a ton of size to his opponent. The odd match like this being thrown in helps to keep all the other ones he does from being formulaic, right? Where it's basically like a bigger, stronger guy just beats on him, but he refuses to give in, and then he ends up with the flurry at the end and winning. So this was a different formula from those matches, so I really liked it. Yuta got plenty of time to showcase himself. I think he did a good job of like a variety of ways of targeting the guy's injured body part.
Right. Yeah. Right. Like you can even see from those notables, right? Like
he knows what
he's
he's doing.
Continually going after the weak spot, which is smart.
Yep. Allin absolutely drilled his finisher. I thought this was another match where we knew who was going to win, but I thought it was good nonetheless. And like you were saying, I even found the Sting Cassidy interaction somewhat amusing, so good for Sting.
Yeah.
I got to be honest, though. If I enjoy it, I enjoy it. I'll tell you. And I did enjoy that little
And
interaction.
if I don't want Sting here, I don't want Sting here.
Right.
Which I don't. So I also like this. It's a short little TV match. Another decent showcase for Yuta, I think. Yuta was able to get the majority of the offense due to his opponent being Darby Allin. But Darby got a few nice moves in, like the superplex and his signature coffin drop. Don't really care about the Blade attacking, I wrote Darby Allin, but I mean Orange Cassidy.
Right.
Because I have zero interest in that match, but good for Blade, I guess, because he attacked a guy.
Yeah, I didn't even talk about it, so that's how much it affected me.
John Moxley Lance Archer package, which basically highlights their history. Archer says he's been waiting a year and a half for this. I think that's from probably from their first match, but they also had a match on Dynamite after, I feel like it was a TV special. I can't remember the name, but
Me either, obviously.
Archer won the Battle Royal at All Out. Mox says he has always had respect for Archer, but the stakes are too high, and he'll put him down. Archer says he'll put down Mox for good, and he'll see a lot of stars. I thought it was a good short package to kind of highlight the stakes and history for this match.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. They both got a chance to speak really quickly. It was really quick, but I thought it was effective for what they were trying to do, right?
Right. Next we get one of our major matches for the show, which is Nyla Rose versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
And just before it, they show us a replay of Nyla impressively powerbombing Baker from the apron through tables last week, right? So that was a cool spot.
Was it last week or was it like a couple weeks ago?
Could have been.
Recently.
Yes, that's what I should have said.
AEW
Recently. Women's
Championship match, this is. So my description, competitive match, I thought where the bigger woman dominated for a stretch, but the crafty champion did eventually come out on top. So the notables were a military press drop and a senton by Rose. Rebel saves Baker from the diving knee drop when Rose is about to go for it. Baker sends Rose into the middle turnbuckle. Uranagi by Rose. Backbreakers and like kind of a stretch over to the knee by Rose, followed by a fall-away slam. Rose misses a cannonball and gets hit with a sling blade from Baker. A DDT for Baker, or by Baker, that gets a 2 count. Rose counters the lockjaw and a nice Death Valley driver. The top rope knee drop by Rose does connect, with Baker draped over the top rope.
Always looks great, I think.
Yep. A nice swinging neckbreaker by Baker for 2. A couple super kicks by Baker get a 2 count. Chokeslam by Rose for a 2 count. Crucifix pin for 2 by Baker. A couple of curb stomps by Baker for a nice near fall. Rebel distracts the ref, and Baker tries to pull an Eddie Guerrero with the title.
Right.
But Rose turns it around, kind of, and is able to hit a beast bomb for which I thought that was a good near fall.
Very good near fall.
Even though I never really thought Rose was gonna win, but like that was still good.
If a match is good enough, you just get caught up in it, right?
And that's like a believable way for her to win if there was one.
Yep.
Baker rolls and gets the lockjaw in and gets the submission victory.
Yeah, I thought, first of all, one little detail I liked on the entrance is that, I don't know if you remembered, but Britt came out, her entrance, she looks like a star now. They've upped the pyro and everything for her with the crowd's back, I guess. And then Rebel comes out after, and it actually gives her a chance because the crowd reacts to Rebel too, right? So I thought that was a nice touch, right? Instead of them walking out together, Britt gets her moment, and then Rebel walks out shortly after.
Right. Yeah, I didn't remember that, but now that you're like that,
I like
triggers
that touch because Rebel's a good. We've talked about it. She's awesome in her role, and I think the crowd wants to acknowledge. Mm-hmm. I thought this was a really good match. Yet
Giving
another
her, like,
one,
a small spotlight.
Another one that over delivered for me on this show. I
liked it.
I thought Nyla looked as good as I remember seeing her. She had some really cool high impact moves. That knee when their opponent's draped over the top always looks awesome. Britt got to showcase a bunch of cool stuff because she just kept trying to do things to put the monster Nyla Rose down. The crowd got really into this, especially some of the near falls, that Beast Bomb probably being the main one. I thought they added to the match as well. Really strong TV title match. Britt just continues to prove why she's the right choice for the spot she's in with this company. Nyla actually made me believe she needs a bit more effort put into her. I thought she looked awesome here, and having like a dominant monster in that division is a great thing to have. So they need to start rebuilding her or giving her some sort of story or character, because she was just reheated really quickly for this match, right? I think she deserves some sort of story going forward. I thought she looked good, and I really liked this match a lot more than I anticipated.
I thought this was an enjoyable match. Suffered a little bit from a predictable victory, but that's okay.
Yep.
Rose had a good stretch, I thought. A lot of good offense. Same with Baker. The part where Baker tried to pull an Eddie Guerrero was kind of amusing, and it resulted in a good near fall. But again, I didn't really think Rose was going to win, but she looked good. Like,
she did.
She's never been the most interesting talent, but she has shone in matches before, right? So that this was one of those examples. Overall, a good title match, though. I think this was a solid first defense for Baker. The build and kind of heel-face dynamics have been kind of dodgy, but I think the match at least delivered.
And I think Baker is making
kind
that
of furthering
transition
the point
to
we made on the 1 year special. Like, you can have a bad storyline with a good match, right?
Exactly. It was.
Next we get, like, it's kind of a press conference type deal.
It was. That's
with
what they
Proud and Powerful and FTR.
Right.
Which the match is going to happen next week. So finally, we're actually going to get this match, which is pretty nice because I'm looking forward to that.
Right, me too.
Two of my favorite tag teams in ring, for sure. Dax says they're similar and he only respects them as wrestlers and not as people. Ortiz says he and Santana were in AEW since day one, and FTR are just a pit stop on their way to gold. And Santana pulls out photos and like a newspaper to show like it's kind of like where he came from and like the hardships he's faced.
Awesome.
It was pretty cool, like adding some realism to this, right? Whether it is real or not, I think it is, but like just for the story's sake, right? Like adding some realism to it, whether it's real or not.
Right.
And Dax says he only cares about his family and wrestling and also God, but blech. And he's gonna beat their ass at Fight for the Fallen.
Right.
And then they're kind of like held apart by like I think it was security or like just a bunch of people. I
thought it was a bit weird because I thought Santana's part, like he killed it, and then FTR almost had no reply or just it was almost like there was an editor. I don't even know, but it was just really jarring because he gives this passionate thing talking about his family and the sacrifice and whatever, and then FTR was just like they didn't really have a reply to it. So I found that weird. It was almost like something was cut out and taken away, but Santana poured his heart out and it was like they weren't even listening to him, it felt like. So I didn't love that. But I would love to see this match if they give it a bunch of time. I hope they do because it could be awesome. But I found this particular segment a bit strange, if I'm being honest. Thought Santana killed it, but then they acted like he hadn't done anything, which I thought was weird.
I thought, well, Dax is kind of like he doesn't care. Like
I guess, but
I liked it though. I thought it was good. I thought Dax and Ortiz were good. I thought Santana was the best. I agree.
Yep.
And it shows where he's come from and like the hardships he's faced. A bit short, but I liked it, and it's going to be a good match. I think at the very least.
Yep.
Next we get the Tony Schiavone in-ring interview with Andrade El Idolo.
Mm-hmm. Without Vicky Guerrero,
yeah.
Good choice. That is the way to do it. I think that's done, maybe, right?
Right. Andrade takes the mic and tells Tony to take it easy. He says he has a surprise before the interview takes place, and he introduces his new executive consultant, which is Chavo Guerrero. So, yeah.
Yay?
Out with one Guerrero, in with another.
Right, I guess.
So Chavo panders a bit, talks about the talent he saw backstage, and he says Andrade is the best, though. Kind of like, he's like, everyone else here is good, but my guy's the best.
Right. I haven't seen anyone at that level.
Right. Yeah. And we hear the Triangle de la Muerte, and it's Death Triangle.
Yes, please.
With Phoenix back.
Yep.
We put that in the news last week, and it's true. He's back. Death Triangle's back.
We would never lie.
Let's go. I would never lie, ever. Speaking of, I've heard things about CM Punk, so maybe that's a lie. Boom, just lied.
Yeah.
Pac says he doesn't know who Andrade thinks he is, and they heard their name in his mouth last week. Pac says Death Triangle hides from no one. Andrade thanks them for coming and says the Lucha Bros are good. It could be great with him. He says a bunch of stuff in Spanish, and he says he is an elite superstar. Chavo explains it to Pac, basically, because he's the only one here who doesn't speak Spanish.
Right.
He says they're all talented, but their waists aren't shiny enough, basically, like, we could get you titles, and they should listen to Andrade. Andrade asks the Lucha Bros why they work for Pac, and Andrade says they work for him now. Pac says Penta and Phoenix don't work for him, and Death Triangle is a brotherhood. Phoenix says something about family in Spanish and says they're the real face of Latinos. And Alex translates for Penta and says, why would we join you, meaning Andrade, when you're not on our level? And Andrade tells them to relax, and as they come down, the referees come out to stop it before it turns it into anything physical.
Right. I gotta be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the pairing with Chavo Guerrero on the surface. Andrade needs a mouthpiece, I think, unless they want to let him speak Spanish all the time and have an interpreter, which I would be cool with too. Chavo's not known for his promos, man, and I didn't think he would. I don't love his tone even here. Nice reaction for Chavo from the crowd. I'm just not a fan of him on the mic. That being said, it's building to a match between possibly my two favorite wrestlers in the business, right, with Andrade and Pac, or any sort of involvement with Death Triangle. Every possible combination is exciting to me, so I think Andrade and Death Triangle did a good job here. For me, the jury's still out on Chavo as Andrade's consultant. After week 1, I'm not a big fan, but
yeah,
it also felt like Chavo was being a sincere babyface, and Andrade's like a massive heel. Maybe it's just like,
he knows he's going to get cheering. He's just like kind of...
Yeah. I feel like I'm obsessed with heel babyface dynamics lately. It's coming up a lot.
Like,
there's a lot of questionable shades of gray.
And it's like, so you're just like, you gotta try to define it, right? Just because it kind of eases your brain,
and
right?
It's just a classic wrestling thing. That's how it's supposed to be, you know? But anyways, what did you think?
And so, yeah, it is pretty confusing with like all these heel dynamics. So you just kind of want to like make sense of it so that you know, like you don't really have to think about that constantly. So I thought it was pretty good. I liked Andrade, and I thought Pac was obviously the best promo here. Chavo was whatever, mostly crowd pandering and whatnot, nothing really of note. Right. Phoenix and Penta spoke less, but I thought they were also good. And I love the way like Alex translates for Penta, because he really gets into it, right?
Yep, he does.
This seems to be leaning towards a feud rather than the formation of Death Rhombus, and maybe this will force Andrade to form his own faction, perhaps?
Could. Yeah.
See, you think Death Rhombus is amazing.
Or the Lucha Brothers turn on Pac. I could see that too at some point. And join Andrade. That. Andrade leading them would be pretty awesome too.
No.
Any combination of these 4 guys, I'm cool.
No, but I want either all 4 of them, or you keep Death Triangle the way it is. That's the way it has to go.
That's fine.
We get one of those weird earlier today segments with Marco Stunt going after HFO by himself because he's dumb. And Jurassic Express come to save him. Like, honestly, like, is he just brain dead?
Yeah, I guess.
And also, this took place in the ring earlier today, so like, again, that kind of hurts my brain, because like, so it's not on the show, like
they're just in the ring doing stuff on the day of
before the show, like, but with the crowd there, like,
I just think
it kind of hurts my brain.
It's prolonging this feud, and I don't know, whatever. I guess 6-man tag match.
Christian Cage also came in, and so we get to hear him speak, because that's what I want.
Absolutely.
Cage took 4 of them to beat up Marco Stunt. Cage suggests him and Jurassic Express versus Angelico versus Private Party next week.
And that's what we're getting.
This was fine, but I don't care about Cage or HFO. And I feel like I haven't cared about Jurassic Express in a while. Like, I like them, but they just haven't done anything interesting.
Jungle Boy's gotten the push, right? He was sort of focused on
but they're leaving my boy Luchasaurus in the dust.
They are.
That's not cool, dude.
No.
And next, well, I was hoping we would get this, but I honestly wasn't sure, and thankfully we did. We got a QT Marshall interview.
Low point.
What? No, I was actually really happy because
sure.
I was like, after the protein shake thing last week, I was like, I really hope we get a follow-up next week, and we did.
Thankful.
He says he will apologize to Tony next week. Who cares? And could this be any more pointless?
Now,
why does it need a dedicated segment next week?
I think you're reporting this incorrectly. When you say he says he'll apologize next week, I don't believe those were his words. I think the words were there will be an apology next week.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So my thing is, gee, I wonder if they'll expect Tony to apologize to them for disrespecting him.
Yeah.
Right? While making it sound like QT.
Who cares? Why does this need a dedicated segment at all, ever?
It was only a few seconds, but therefore only a few seconds of my time was wasted. But it sounds like they're going to waste more of my time, and this continues next week.
Yay.
And this storyline just seems unnecessary to me, basically.
No, I'm actually really happy that this is continuing.
The QT stuff, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I don't see it. I don't get it. I don't need it.
I don't
Use his time for somebody else.
Yes.
Next,
we get the Blade versus Orange Cassidy. Speaking of not caring.
Blade with Bunny, of course.
Yeah.
Don't forget her. She's integral.
Oh, I will forget
to
her. I do that constantly. Cassidy comes from the crowd while Blade is demanding his hand raised in forfeit. Cassidy comes out really late.
Mine was Blade is dumb and thinks Cassidy isn't coming and can only face one direction to look for him.
Right.
Right?
Or he's just too occupied.
He can only come from straight ahead of me.
Right, or he's too occupied, with getting his hand raised, right?
Yep.
It was a short and competitive match where the babyface was hindered by an earlier attack and the heel would use dirty tactics to try to win.
Yep.
Notables. Cassidy attacks Blade right away with the takedown and punches. Blade feigns an injury to get a cheap shot, which I thought there was going to be some sort of brass knuckles use here, but it was just to get a running
I thought because they were adjusting the knee brace, I thought that was going to be Bunny slipping the knucks in or something, but that's not.
I thought there was going to be something with the knucks,
That's not what happened.
Right? Suplex counter, stunner by Cassidy, kind of a stun dog millionaire, but I don't care because I don't want to say that. It's a dumb name.
Right.
Gut wrench bomb on the top turnbuckle by
cool.
Blade, which is pretty nice.
Yep.
Diving crossbody and a tilt-a-whirl DDT, classic Cassidy. Bunny tries to interfere when Statlander comes out, and Blade pulls Statlander in front of him and actually takes a suicide dive by Cassidy.
Yeah,
so
that was cool.
Statlander gets full on hit.
The timing was good on that.
Mm-hmm. Cassidy shoves Blade into Bunny to kind of get payback, I guess. A big clothesline by Blade, and a spinning tombstone pile driver. Didn't get all of it for 2 by Blade.
No, the head was not too close to the mat, but that's okay. I'd rather you work safe than air to the side of missing than hitting it for real.
Yeah, don't pull an Owen Hart.
Right.
Beach break by Cassidy for a near fall, but they kind of sell that his back's not.
Yeah, he barely. It was like a sudden beach break. His low back's been injured somehow.
He did get attacked, but I'm pretty sure he got hit in the head or the neck. So, yeah. Bunny distracts the ref and throws the brass knucks to Blade. Cassidy ducks the brass knucks, hits an orange punch for the win. And after the match, he hits an orange punch again with the brass knucks.
And it was Statlander pulled Bunny off the apron, right? Which then Bunny had to throw the knucks to Blade, and it was not successful.
Right.
I actually thought this was a fun little TV match. There was a lot going on, but I don't mind a match like that if it's not super long on the course of a 2-hour show. Of course, again, and I feel like we said this a lot this week, Blade was never winning, right? One person was never going to win this match. But I thought he showcased some cool stuff, and the interaction between Bunny and Statlander was just enough and fine, I thought. But man, has Orange Cassidy slid down the card, eh? But I still enjoyed this match, I thought.
Yeah, so I thought this was fine. It was a good little TV match, like you said. Kind of like Allen and Yuta. But the feud really hasn't been interesting, and there hasn't been anything to it, really, other than repeated use of brass knuckles.
Yes.
The match itself was fine, but it was only ever going one way. That didn't really help.
No, I thought it was
Chris
fun.
Jericho interview, he says if MJF is bringing the most violent man in wrestling, he'll bring the most violent version of himself, and he's going to bring back the Painmaker persona from New Japan.
That makes sense, right? Like, that was my only comment. Makes sense.
I thought this was fine. I guess it's something different. It does make sense, and I mean, okay. I don't even know if there's really a difference, but...
And this is where I was talking to you about my new faction idea, right? And we're calling it, I put it in here, my new faction called For the Ages, right?
Yeah, FDA.
Featuring Cage, Gage, Page, and Page. And it's called For the Ages.
Right, you have Brian, Cage,
Christian
Ethan Page,
Cage.
Nick Gage. Oh, right, yeah.
2 cages, 2 pages, and a gauge. Cage, Gage, Page, and Page for the ages. The FTA.
Cage, Page, Gage.
That's our new faction.
That's
Going
funny.
for it.
Yeah.
And Vince McMahon, his brain will just explode with that many similar names in one group.
You also got 2 Cassidys as well.
But anyway, sorry, I digress.
Yeah, so here's what we got for a fight for the fall next week. We got Painmaker Chris Jericho versus Nick Gage, no rules match, which is Laborers of Jericho, Labor number 2. We got Proud Powerful versus FTR, that should be nice.
Yep.
Christian Cage and Jurassic Express versus In Hell Come Private Party.
Less nice,
Don't
but whatever.
care.
Could be fun.
Jurassic Express, that's really all that interests me. The winner of the Texas Death Match, which will either be Mox or Archer, will take on Hikuleo, who is the brother of the Guerrillas of Destiny and the son of Haku.
And a very tall man, I did not know.
Yeah, he's pretty tall.
He's taller than Archer.
For the IWGP US title. So that's cool. At least it's someone from New Japan.
And Hikuleo is a dude that I know absolutely nothing about.
Yeah,
so
I'm not
excited
thrilled
to see him.
because it's someone from there that I don't know anything about, but it's at least something. Because I've been saying there's so many awesome matches they can pull from this working relationship.
Yep.
And so I want them to start doing that. And so this is at least, we're getting there,
yep.
right? Tony Khan's got an announcement next week, so that could be interesting. And the 10-man elimination tag, the Elite versus the Dark Order. And to specify, it'll be Omega, the Young Bucks, and the Good Brothers versus the Dark Order team will be represented by Paige, Grayson, and Uno, and Silver and Reynolds. So the ideal team that
First
we want.
Survivor Series match I've cared about in many, many years,
right.
for sure.
It's not actually one, but it's the same match,
same idea.
basically.
Yep.
And so, yeah, the Dark Order team is the ideal team I think we were hoping for.
That's what I wanted, yep.
So AEW's Jacksonville Dynamite homecoming show, which will be on August 4th. We've already got a match for that, which will be Malachi Black versus Cody Rhodes.
Nice.
I swear to God, Cody, you better let him win.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
Possibly.
And they do get a package, but it's basically just recapping their previous interactions. I was going to take notes on it, but then I just realized it was just their previous stuff.
And like I was telling you off air, I think it's kind of interesting that they've basically just taken Black's exact character from WWE.
Which can be annoying, but they never really gave it a chance.
And I think
WWE.
that's the point. So if they can make this really cool, that's really them kind of thumbing
that's a feather in their cap.
And thumb their noses at WWE and say, see if we actually listen to people and their ideas, your gimmicks are pretty good.
Right.
So I think it's a really interesting, because even the promos, the background, the smoke and the suits, everything looks the same as the character when he left WWE. So that is a very interesting thing for me. Instead of going completely different, they're like, nope, we're going to do the exact same thing. We'll just do it better in the way it should have been done the first time. Right. So I'm interested.
So the description for the main event, which is the Jon Moxley Lance Archer Texas Death Match for the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship, which is New Japan Pro Wrestling. It was a competitive hardcore style main event with some brutal weapon use, some crazy stuff that would have to be done to win. There was some cutlery involved. Mm-hmm. An apron cannonball by Archer and the notables. Mox spears Archer kind of through the barricade. A bit of a brawl through the stands. Archer picks up a fan.
Pointless brawl through the stands. They just fought their way up the steps and then back down. Right. Which was dumb, but anyways.
Archer picks up a fan, which is most likely a plant.
Of course.
Throws him onto Mox.
An awesome touch, though. I laughed. It was great. Because it honestly, at first, you're like, wow, this random fan's kind of in the way. And then Archer just picks him up and throws him. It was great.
Right. Yeah, it was... You did... like that.
I did.
Archer exposes the ringside concrete, but it comes back to bite him as he takes a paradigm shift on the concrete by Mox, but more the Dirty Deeds version.
Yeah. I actually wrote DDT until they corrected me in commentary. Right.
Rules seem to be working like in last man standing match, basically.
And Archer's bloody now.
Archer is busted open because why wouldn't he be? Mox has a fork, and he goes to town on Archer with the fork.
He does.
Mox stomps on a chair that had Archer's ankle wedged in it after a commercial break. Yep. That classic trope, or that move. Archer punches a trash can lid into Mox's face, which is just a great sound, and it looked good, too. That was a cool visual. Strike exchange, Mox bites Archer's face. A ripcord spinning Uranagi by Archer. Almost a boss man slam, but not quite. Nope. But that was pretty nice, I thought. Archer chokeslams Mox onto 2 chairs with the backs facing in, which I don't remember seeing since TakeOver Philadelphia in 2018.
Absolutely ridiculous.
I remember Adam Cole took that bump, and that was like the first time I saw it.
There's no way of like.
There's no way it doesn't hurt, right?
Yeah, it looked awesome.
A paradigm shift by Mox. Archer's defiant, and Mox attacks with the fork again. Mox puts a couple of barbed wire boards, which they look like barbed wire. What do you call them? Bristol board. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it was more like, oh my god, what is that wood called? I can't remember, but
balsa wood or plywood.
Yes, there you go.
Plywood.
That's
yeah.
word. Yes.
Not even though, like
very
when
thin
they go through
plywood.
it doesn't even look like plywood. It looks like honestly like Bristol board, like the barbed wire, the barbed wire board I got with the Ringside Collectibles Hardcore pack.
Yeah.
It's like a wooden board, like an actual wooden board with barbed wire, right? Like, or that's what it's meant to be.
Yep.
And the ones they use are just like look like Bristol board, but this one he put them on tables, so I guess they want them to have give, right? Like at least, so that's understandable. I guess if you're just gonna put them on the floor, then it doesn't really matter. But I find most of the time they just look like Bristol board with barbed wire somehow on it.
It was.
And the finish comes with Archer attacking Mox with the fork on the apron, and then choke slamming him through the double tables with the barbed wire.
Looked pretty
Bristol
good.
board, and Mox cannot get up, which Archer becomes the new champion. So
somewhat surprising.
A New Japan title change on AEW TV. I think that's a really good sign.
I was a little surprised. I wasn't 100% that Archer couldn't win, but I didn't think it was likely.
And we get a little bit of post-match stare down between Archer and Hikuleo, which you know, like they're basically the same height.
Yeah, Hikuleo's a little bit taller, I think, which is impressive.
So I kind of like this. I thought it was good. It was not like AEW can do this death match like hardcore style when they want to. A somewhat surprising result, as I think the majority of people would have picked Mox to win. They even mentioned there's like a New Japan poll that backs up that statement. There were some cool spots like the chair choke slam, the concrete paradigm shift, and the match winning spot. Overall, a good match, solid way to end the show, I thought. And I think this this title change, like I said, it's a really good sign for this working relationship that I'm excited about, because if New Japan's willing to let one of their titles change on this, on like AEW programming, then they're clearly like they'll be willing to send people over and like work with them more. I can't wait for like I think they did like a War of the Worlds with ROH. If they did that with AEW, it's just a bunch of crossover matches. That would be awesome.
It would. This main event, I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
It suffers a little bit in comparison to the recent Omega Callahan no DQ match.
Or even the
Slammiversary.
AEW's recent unsanctioned match.
Right. Because I thought that Callahan Omega match was amazing.
Yeah,
Still, this was a really good main event on TV.
Which they didn't even mention on AEW. I thought was funny because like he's just fine here, and then on Impact he's got like a head bandage and whatever. Some
crazy spots, somewhat surprising title change, huge win for Archer for sure. And I just think like I'm not even a big Moxley fan, but like he is objectively a super valuable competitor. He can work any kind of match against anyone. He can cut any promo and make the other guy look good. Like WWE, as they say, left a bunch of money on the table with this guy. And again, I'm not a huge fan of his.
I even loved him in WWE, but like he's become so much better. I don't know. I like Dean Ambrose more just because I just like, and that was when I first got into it. Like he was my guy.
This match won't even hurt him, right? Like he can lose a death match and lose the title and it won't hurt him.
Right. Yeah, but so yeah, good
overall.
What did you think overall?
Match wise, Jericho Spears opener over delivered. Really liked it.
Right, and it's not your ideal opener, but it wasn't bad.
I liked it. Gallows Kaz.
I think we were kind of expecting like meh.
Gallows Kazarian was not good. It was the low point in ring.
It was bad.
Darby Allin Yuta was a good enhancement match. Baker Rose was really good. Again,
I'm starting
better.
to like Yuta. I just want to see a little more, maybe.
Yep, better than I thought the Baker Rose was going to be. Cassidy Blade I thought was fine for what it was, and the main event was really good.
As long as that storyline's done, I think Cassidy Blade is good.
An episode with another 3 matches I thought were really strong. Segment-wise, like the Miro promo, his development, Hangman Omega stuff continues to be really good. Decent tease of Cage ruining Stark's celebration next week. I thought the press conference was somewhat odd and disjointed with FTR and Santana Ortiz. Andrade's segment was good as far as teasing the stuff with Death Triangle, but again, not totally sold on Chavo's inclusion. So this show was better than I expected when I like seeing what was on it on paper. Really interesting entertaining episode bolstered by another really strong live crowd. So I gave it a B+ this week, just slightly better than NXT, I thought. What about you?
So the opener wasn't as good as many previous openers, but it did kind of over deliver. Like you said, it was still enjoyable.
Yep.
Just maybe not as good, just because it was a good match, but not really the opener style that you're looking for, right? Like you're looking for something like pop the crowd, really like get you interested in the show, right?
Right.
I can't say the same for Gallows versus Kaz though, because Gallows is just a talent. He just doesn't do much, and
he doesn't really try hard until it's an important event.
Even then, and Kaz couldn't drag him to a good match. The aftermath was standard. I'm looking forward to the Survivor Series match next week.
Right.
Allen and Yuta was a short TV match, good enhancement match. Pretty standard with Darby taking most of the beating. And I like Yuta being strategic, targeting the midsection. Rose versus Baker was good. While the build wasn't the best, I thought the match did deliver on in-ring quality. The Proud and Powerful FTR segment was, like you said, maybe a little disjointed, but I liked it still.
Mm-hmm.
Not as good as some of the other segments that have been building this feud, but still good nonetheless. I like the Andrade Death Triangle segment. It was good for the most part. It had its downs, mostly Chavo Guerrero. The reveal wasn't the most exciting, and his promo didn't really do anything for me. Death Triangle all did good, I think, with Pac being the best, and hopefully a match comes out this sooner rather than later, whatever it is. The Christian Cage Jurassic Express HFO thing was fine, but I don't really care that much, and I want Jurassic Express to do something else. I feel like they could be tag champs, and if you build them up, I'd be fine with them beating the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
But I am more interested in that, at least, than QT Marshall. Cassidy vs. Blade was a decent match, but suffered from a lackluster build and feud that I didn't really care about, but the match itself was fine for in-ring quality. Fight for the Fallen, I think, is looking like a pretty good show. There's some matches I'm looking forward to quite a bit. Some I'm not, but most of them look pretty good. The main event was just an all-out brawl in the best sense of the term, and good for Archer for finally getting a win on Mox and winning a title.
Mm-hmm.
And, like I said, this looks good for the prospects of this working relationship between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Overall, good show. Not as good as the past couple weeks, I thought, but it was still good, so I'm going to have to agree with you on the letter grade, which is a B+.
Nice. So a strong show from AEW, a pretty good show from Dynamite, not a bad week of wrestling for us. But that's not all the wrestling we watch, so we'll transition into our next segment and talk about some other stuff from the world of wrestling, and that is our Any Other Wrestling Business. So we'll start with some Impact Wrestling, and the show this week starts out with a package highlighting the major happenings from Slammiversary, which I thought was a pretty excellent show. I do have a review up there. You guys can check out if you haven't already. I thought the Ultimate X match and the main event No DQ were pretty much fantastic must-see matches.
Yeah, it was a good pay-per-view. So the Ultimate X was awesome.
This package focuses on some of the surprise arrivals on the show, Thunder Rosa, Mickie James, Jay White being a few of them. So then we move straight into our first match, and it's Chris Bay versus Rohit Raju. So two of my favorite performers in this company who are in the X division, which I think is the strongest division going right now for them. Commentary puts over Bay and what he did in the Ultimate X match. We're shown Rohit and Bay, a little clip of them arguing backstage after the match at Slammiversary, with Rohit criticizing Bay for not choosing a side and costing them the title. But then he says, but cost Rohit more than Bay, because, of course, Rohit thinks he was the one that should have won it. Rohit goes to leave. Bay says that, here, you forgot your t-shirt. And then Rohit says it's not his, hands it back to Bay, and he sort of opens it up to show the camera that it is a Bullet Club shirt. Ooh.
Yeah.
So fans are back for Impact TV now, and it's not a ton of people, but even just having some, I found, definitely helps the show. So this match is bursts of fast-paced offense. Both these guys are really quick, really talented guys. And then we get some taunting and trash talking along the way. Mahabali Shera gets involved on behalf of Rohit on the outside to sort of soften up Chris Bay. Rohit is sort of developing some cool combinations of moves and is just really, really quick. He dominates early. Bay gets his chance a bit later. Rohit applies a lengthy crossface before the finishing flurry, where Bay ends up hitting his Art of Finesse springboard cutter for the win. Bay is then approached by Jay White after the match backstage, and apparently the Bullet Club t-shirt was basically an invitation to Bay.
That's pretty good.
Jay White recruits Bay, says Bullet Club are always looking for people that they think could be something and could fit in. So Chris Bay says that if he were paying attention and really watching closely and looked hard enough, he would know that Chris Bay is something and that he walks alone, which I like those responses, right? Like, it's not about me, I could be something, I already am something and you're missing it, sort of thing. White asked how that's been working for Bay, which is also a fair point, as Bay hasn't been able to win a title in a while. Lets him know that the offer to join Bullet Club will in fact expire. So it's creating this, they want him, Bay's kind of saying no, but will he eventually come around? Because Jay White's saying, listen, maybe joining us could help your career, right?
Because Jay White's the man.
I thought the match was a smart match to try and capitalize on, because that, honestly, that Ultimate X match was so good that they may have picked up some new viewers. So I think it's really smart to start this episode with two really talented guys, with Rohit and Bay. I got what I expected from this match. It was competitive, fun to watch. Thought a really good Impact TV opener. And again, the crowd noise, organic crowd noise, not piped in selected crowd noise, was definitely helpful. I even like the aftermath with Jay White, because it's kind of a win-win for me. Either I'm going to get Jay White and Chris Bay in some sort of feud in a match, possibly, which is totally fine, or I'm going to get an alliance between them, and that is also fine. So it's kind of a win-win no matter what way they go with this White Bay story for me. Actually, you watched some Impact this week, didn't you?
I did. I watched the full Jay White segment.
If you have anything, just let me know. Okay.
Yep.
Callis then speaks with Gia and says that Kenny Omega is injured and needs stitches. So Callis is sort of complaining, as he tends to do. And he says that every minute that Kenny is out costs them money. He's concerned about the working conditions at Impact. Gia asks about Jay White. Callis is not happy about his arrival either, but maybe White wants to leave Bullet Club 3.5. He's sort of mocking all the iterations of Bullet Club that have existed, and step up and join the Elite. So the idea is maybe Jay White's here to ditch his crappy faction and join ours. Callis doesn't like being in Impact, and he's going to have Kenny's belt while Kenny is injured. I thought another good job by Callis, kind of planting the seeds for an Omega White possibility, which would be pretty awesome. And the unsafe working conditions thing, I feel like that's something they're going to come back to going forward, and it's something WWE has done before. So I hope Impact does it a little bit better, but it seems like that's going to be a term we're going to hear a bit more going forward. So Mickie James then comes to the ring, and we get highlights of Slammiversary with Mickie James inviting Deonna Purrazzo to the Empowerment pay-per-view that NWA is running that will be all women. Deonna
basically like Evolution that WWE did,
like... Purrazzo rudely refused the invitation and then ended up getting super kicked by Mickie James there. So Slammiversary didn't go as planned, James says, but it did feel good to kick a champion in the face. She then calls out Deonna Purrazzo to finish some business. James acknowledges that they had a kind of a negative encounter. She reminds Deonna of the Empower offer. She says she considers Deonna to be one of the best in the world right now and asks Purrazzo again to be on the show. Deonna tells Mickie James she's disrespectful and she's just out here for herself and is just sucking up to Deonna because she's not doing this for Deonna. She's doing it for herself because she's running this show. She said she knows she's the greatest. Mickie James is saying things to get what she wants. She needs the virtuoso like everybody else does, and they all want a piece of Impact's Iron Woman. She needs Mickie James to grovel and apologize from her knees before she'll accept this invitation, and she even threatens to slap Mickie James at one point. And then, because the segment wasn't long enough, Gail Kim's music hits, and she comes out as well because she's in charge of, I guess, the women's division on Impact. So Gail reveals that it was her idea to send Mickie out for the offer to Deonna at Slammiversary. She promotes the opportunity for Purrazzo, puts over Mickie, gives Mickie one last chance to speak, and she nicely asks Deonna one more time and sort of extends her hand. Deonna shakes it, and it looks like she is in fact booked for Empower. I'm wondering if it's going to lead to her actually facing Mickie James. It seems like that would be where it's going, right? Man, this is going to be a recurring thing for me. This segment was far too long for my taste. Deonna did a great job, as she always does, but this dragged, man. The addition of Gail Kim seemed kind of pointless. It just added to the length. I don't understand why she was needed there. These two could have figured out some other way a little bit quicker. I will probably watch that NWA Empowerment show, though. I'm curious to see the matchups, who they get from other companies, if there's people I've never heard of before. So I will probably check that out, despite this promo, not because of it, sort of. We then get very similar, the same, Drama King vignette that was on Slammiversary as well. And all signs indicate that this is, in fact, Aiden English coming back, and it's definitely been a while, right? He's not one of the recent releases.
He was even, like, when he got released, he was on commentary in WWE.
And that's what I was about to say. There is some debate I've seen as to whether he'll be an in-ring competitor, a manager, or a commentator, right? So we don't even know what capacity he's coming in. The vignettes feel like a in-ring competitor, but I don't know really why I think that. But I'm just thinking he might wrestle, but on commentary, he'd probably be fine too, or as a manager, whatever. We'll see. He feels like a good fit for Impact to me, honestly.
Right. He's never been too big, right?
Right, and so they could kind of use him. Jake Something, Matt Cardona, Chelsea Green are going to face off against Brian Myers, Sam Beal, and Tennille in a 6-person match. Green was the hot mess on the pay-per-view, but she's not here for this match. To start out, Jake dominates Sam Beal. Cardona and Myers then get some time together. Cardona dominates until a Beal distraction, and then that puts Myers in control for a bit. We get a double suplex countered into a double neckbreaker by Cardona, and then the women finally tag in. Backstabber by Green. All the men are out on the floor. Caleb interrupts the Unprettier, and Taylor Wilde, who's been missing in action for quite a while, runs out, pulls Caleb off the apron to sort of stop the heels from cheating. Beal gets hit by Green's Unprettier, and Chelsea Green ends up pinning Sam Beal in this match. I thought it was kind of short, but a fun tag match. Lots going on. Wilde showing up. I totally forgot about her, to be honest. She's been missing for quite a while. Green looks like a solid addition to the Knockouts division. And I feel like this match was basically Impact introducing her to the TV audience, so I thought this kind of worked. It wasn't bad. We then get a recap of Morrissey cheating to beat Eddie Edwards. He used a chain last week to sort of beat Eddie, or was it the pay-per-view? I forget. Pay-per-view?
Pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's right. So Eddie gets a chance to speak here. Edwards is fine with Morrissey cheating, and now he's down to fight in the parking lot, and he challenges Morrissey to a parking lot match. Keep that in mind right now. So street fight, Eddie Edwards versus Morrissey. So basically, they're fighting kind of in front of a tractor trailer, so that gets, obviously, the trailer is used as kind of a wall to run into. There's pylons, garbage cans, coolers, some sort of strap, some kendo sticks at the end. So Morrissey hits Eddie with a bunch of stuff. Eddie eventually snaps and pulls out 2 kendo sticks he had stashed, I guess, and he starts beating Morrissey with them, and Morrissey walks away, so Eddie wins, I guess? Question mark? I don't know. That was it for this match. I honestly thought that they were trying something different and they were like gonna stop, back to the regular stuff and then come back later, and these two are still fighting, right? I thought maybe like the rule of threes, right? They're gonna come back 2 more times to this match, and it's sort
like
of
on NXT,
they weave it throughout the show, but nope, this was it for the match. I don't know who decided to do this, that they never went back to this, they never talked about it again. I guess the idea is that Morrissey walked off because he was escaping Eddie Edwards' attack with the kendo sticks, so Eddie wins, I guess. I don't know. This lost me. I thought it was a strange choice to never go back to it or never talk about it again on the show. But anyways, we'll see where they go, I guess. So as the camera fades, we're back inside, and Gia is talking to Myers, Tennille, and Sam Beal. She asks them how they've been taking losses recently, and if they have to rethink their strategy heading into the Homecoming tournament that was sort of announced earlier. They're going to have like a...
It's basically like WWE's Mixed Match Challenge.
Yeah, they're going to have Homecoming King and Queen in this tournament. Myers says that like a bow and arrow, he and Tennille just have to be pulled back to shoot forward. I thought that was kind of a cool little comment, right? Like we had to take a step back. You have to draw the bow back, so we lost a few times before we can launch it forward. So Myers says that Dashwood is now under the Myers learning tree. Dashwood looks disgusted and says she can't go to Homecoming with Myers. So she's out.
That was kind of funny how she said that.
Yeah.
Right? It's like...
Tennille blames Taylor Wilde for all her problems before she and Caleb just kind of walk away. Myers then is upset with Sam Beal, blames him for screwing up this partnership with Tennille Dashwood. Beal tells Myers he'll be happy to go find Myers a new tag partner, especially if it means he can talk to a girl. He then, kind of funny, tries to talk to Gia Miller quickly, but she immediately just walks away and sort of shoots him down. So I thought this was fine. Parts of it were kind of amusing to me. It wasn't long. It forwards the story, creates a bit of intrigue because now Beal has to find Myers a new partner, I guess, right? And just a quick comparison, Myers and Beal feel like a more heel kind of Gargano and Austin Theory. Sam Beal has given me major like Austin Theory, I'm not too bright, I'm just sort of bumbling along kind of deal. Kind of feels like that. So I don't mind it. Then we get your boy Jay White comes out.
My boy Jay White.
With his never openweight championship. He introduces himself to a chorus of cheers. He takes credit for selling out Madison Square Garden, being the first Grand Slam champion, as well as the current never openweight champion. He calls himself the real belt collector. He is here for David Finlay. He insults Finlay and refers to his father, Fit, who was a wrestler, obviously, with WWE, WCW, etc.
Didn't you like him?
Yeah, I liked him. He was never given his proper, because he just had a brawling style and he didn't look amazing, but he's a good old school guy. Finlay beat White in the New Japan Cup, White says, but he will never beat White again, and definitely not for his openweight title. He also happened to meet some true fans of the Bullet Club and Jay White, and they are the Super Elite.
Yeah, he kind of makes it seem like it's the fans, but then he's talking about the
Super Elite.
The Super Elite, because they're like trying to be Bullet Club, and he's basically implying they're the fan
They're just
club.
stealing the gimmick, right?
They're the fan club, yeah.
Right. He says the Good Brothers are nothing without their Bullet Club affiliation and rejects...
That's not completely wrong.
I know. He's not wrong. And rejects their application for White to join their group, but will allow them to appeal his decision, whatever that means.
Or like, I think he also... He said it kind of like he's rejecting them from Bullet Club.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah. So the Good Brothers, Callis and Omega, obviously have to show up here to extend this as well. Callis looks back on young Jay White and early Bullet Club. He mentions how all three of his guys were there and offers him a spot in the Elite officially. White questions if Callis works for Impact or not, and that's kind of a good question as well. We don't know what Callis' status is. Reminds everyone that he won against Omega in their last encounter, which is a nice point to bring up. The Good Brothers decide to speak, and this is where I think like this was completely unnecessary in my opinion, but you know how I feel about the Good Brothers, so clearly I'm biased. They take over.
No, I think that's a fair statement.
They take credit for giving Jay White a stable to capitalize to gain fame in Japan. Basically, like, we were in this thing first. We gave you an idea, or sort of the opportunity to get famous off of our backs kind of thing. They want Jay White to be more thankful. They start to approach him in the ring. They brag about how rich they are, their material possessions, which is what they do. Sort of saying they've, like, sure, you're Jay White, but we've got more money than you and bigger houses than you. White refuses to thank them.
They're poor shaming him.
He insults them a bit more. The brawling starts, obviously. The numbers game gets to Jay White, but good old Chris Bay comes out to make the save, which I thought was a good callback to that early on segment. That was my favorite part of it, when Bay comes out. They're going to have a tag match. So I don't know. I thought this was way too long. There was no need for all these people to say so much, especially the Good Brothers. White coming here to challenge David Finlay is a little bit anticlimactic. No? To you? No?
Or maybe he's...
Right? Like, I'm going after one tag team guy that's barely been here.
Maybe it's one...
They do have a deep history. Like, they're from the dojo together, and maybe they're going to get into that.
Right. Maybe it's like a first... Like, maybe he's not gunning for Omega. Yeah, maybe
but
he's
I'm like,
finish business.
I'm hyped that Jay White's here. He's a champion from New Japan, and he wants to take half of a tag team that doesn't even have the belts right now. So for me, anticlimactic. Disappointing considering who he could match up with. But like you're saying, maybe they're building to that. I think the performers did a fine job here. Jay White is much improved on the microphone. It just felt like it was like 3 times longer than it needed to be. If I weren't taking notes, I probably would have skipped some of this. And considering it involves a newly arriving superstar from Japan, I don't think that's a very good thing. Honestly, this was painful for me.
I would never skip it.
I know you really wanted to check this out. I didn't like it. I get that they're trying to make fans aware of the history between all of them, but I think there had to be a better way of doing this.
Well, everyone knows Bullet Club. Like, come on.
But if New Japan's willing to share footage, like, put together a highlight thing, a vignette, a something. All of these guys just coming out and droning on for this long. It was like, what did you say? A 13-minute segment?
Yep.
Too much. But anyways, did you like it?
Me like Jay White.
I don't think he's bad. I just think this was poorly planned.
Good Brothers, no like. And I want to see Jay White wrestle. He's going to wrestle next week with Christopher Bay and the other chumps.
Yeah, that should be good.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Because they tape shows, so
yep.
I know that.
I know. Stryker announces that on July 31st, there will be an Impact Plus Homecoming show, right, that we've sort of mentioned briefly, where a homecoming queen and king will be crowned via a tournament. So again, I give them marks for trying new things. We'll see how it comes out in execution, but at least they're trying to do something different. Gia
it's just
then
an excuse for one of their non-pay-per-view things.
I think that's probably it, like their special episodes or whatever they call it. Or no, you're saying even like the whatever the majorly lesser pay-per-views are.
The non-pay-per-view pay-per-views.
Right. Gia then talks to Josh Alexander about what's next for him. He says, really briefly, he just keeps lining up opponents and knocking them down. He's doing the fighting champion gimmick right now. He says he'll be the champion that the fans can be proud of, sort of referring to Kenny and Callis here. And Kenny and Callis actually walk by. Kenny basically says that he heard what Alexander was saying, but keeps walking. Yes, and I'm just excited because I want that match. I want Alexander to be the one to take the belt from Kenny. I really think he could be an Impact champion. He's they can consider him like a homegrown guy, right? He didn't get famous anywhere else. He's fantastic. He's the closest thing to Kurt Angle in the ring. He's not quite there on the mic or character-wise. He's fantastic. I would love him to be the one to take down Kenny, so I really hope this is...
Yeah, because you can either option C or be a double champion.
Right. So that's what I really, really want to have happen. I'm hoping this is just teasing that for me. So the Good Brothers then get some more screen time because they need it. And guess what? They're mad at Jay White and Chris Bay, and they issue a challenge for next week. So it was brief. It's a logical match that they're making, I guess. I didn't need to see these guys again so quickly, but it was really short promo.
I can never get enough with the Good Brothers.
We're still early in the first hour, and Good Brothers have gotten to speak twice, which would never be a choice I would make. We then get a tag team match between Madman Fulton and Ace Austin versus Finn Juice. So there's a stalling vertical suplex by Juice Alexander to Ace Austin early. Fulton tags, but I thought it was funny because it's then a commercial break, and he's already tagged out by the time we return. So his entire first entrance into the ring is during a commercial, and we don't see it. The heels double team Finlay a bit, and Austin eventually hits his leaping kick from the corner. We get a backdrop by Finlay, and finally a hot tag to Juice Robinson. Finlay leaps into Fulton on the outside. Juice punches Ace repeatedly in the ring. Fulton catches Juice Robinson out of the air, but Juice counters it with a roll-up for the victory here. The heels then attack after the match. Finn Juice get the upper hand, set up for a doomsday device before Rohit, Shera come down. Shera hits Finlay with a backbreaker. Austin hits the fold on Juice as the heels then stand tall in the ring. It was a short match. It was pretty fun while it lasted. Fulton barely was involved, and when he was, it was mostly during a commercial, which I think is a smart move with the rest of these guys because they're a lot quicker, a lot better than Fulton. No offense to him. One complaint about Finn Juice I've now noticed a couple times that is indulge me in being a wrestling nerd for a minute. So one guy takes a beating, right? He's the face in peril, and then he finally makes a hot tag, only to come out like seconds later with full energy to join in for double team moves. You know what I mean? So like Finley's being beaten down for several minutes. He finally makes the tag to Juice Robinson. Juice Robinson will do like one move, and then Finley's back in, fully charged to do some double team stuff.
I understand him coming back in, but maybe give him a better break.
Right. So that's my concern.
They've done that before.
And I've noticed it more than once, and it kind of irks me a little bit. But other than that, I thought this was a pretty fun match. We then have Rich Swann, Willie Mack talking about Violent by Design. They say that Mack and Swann have bullseyes on their backs because Violent by Design lost at Slammiversary. And he says he and Willie Mack have lost titles too, but they never blamed anybody for their loss like Violent by Design is blaming them. If Violent by Design have a problem, he and Willie Mack are not hard to find. Mack then speaks and says they'll be at the ring next week if Violent by Design want to show up. The lights flicker, you ready? They go out briefly, and Violent by Design are magically in the room. And they attack as the lights flash on and off.
Hoping for something better.
Young gets right up in the camera and says, "We found you, and next week we will end you," which I thought was cool. But, as you know, not a big fan of the teleportation and magic.
Maybe it's not magic, they just came into the room, turned off the lights.
Maybe. A whole group of them silently in the span of a second or two.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think Violent by Design needs to do stuff like this. Can we just leave this with Decay maybe, and other people can just not be magical beings? But anyways, now they've lost the tag titles. It looks like they're moving on to this feud, which is definitely a move down the card. And it's funny, right? Because I've just been saying Violent by Design are finally looking good because they're putting some wins together. They're winning titles, right? Because they're trying to make them look like this dominant, violent faction. But for a while, they were never beating anyone. And now they're back to like low card stuff. So I think it's too bad for them because they were just picking up steam. But you know what, buddy? Them Good Brothers, they had a little while without the title, so they got to get them back, right? So can't have them without the belts. Moose is then heading to Scott D'Amore's office. Gia's sort of running after him, trying to figure out what Moose is doing, what he wants to talk about. Well, he's mad about what happened at Slammiversary because he lost surprisingly to Chris Sabin. He wants a rematch, obviously. Sabin interrupts, as Impact loves to do, right? Everyone interrupts everyone backstage constantly. He is fine with the rematch, and it's going to actually be in next week's main event. I thought this was really short. Everyone did fine. Moose's like really slow, deliberate promo style still works for me. Sabin didn't have to say much, which is a good move because he can't really talk at all. I assume Moose is going to get a convincing win next week because I was surprised that Sabin won at the pay-per-view. So the first match was good. Maybe this one will be too. I imagine Moose is going to even things up here, but who knows? So in our main event, we get Fire and Flava with, as we talked about in the news, a soon-to-be departed Kiera Hogan, it looks like. So I wonder where this match is going. Versus Havoc and Rosemary in a rematch for the Knockouts Tag Team Championships that Havoc and Rosemary just won at Slammiversary. So initially, I hoped that Fire and Flava would get the belts back because I think I just much prefer that. But then again, after hearing about Hogan, I assume that this makes it very unlikely that Hogan and Steels win this. The matchup honestly doesn't feel very fresh. It's basically a continuation of Fire and Flava faced Havoc and Nevaeh constantly, right, for a while. And now it's just like we've taken out Nevaeh, swapped in Rosemary, and we're doing the same thing again for multiple matches.
That's
it's just,
true.
yes, Rosemary's a little bit different, but it's still that dark gothic whatever, and I feel like I've seen this so many times before. So Hogan and Rosemary start out, battle to a stalemate. The crowd chants for Rosemary. Side slam by Rosemary. I thought she looked really slow in this. Like, even when she executes decent maneuvers, it's very slowly. But anyways, missile drop kick by Tasha to Havoc, followed by a corner uppercut. Havoc backbreaker, short clothesline combination to Tasha. Tasha hits what was kind of an ugly cutter to Rosemary, who's coming off the top rope. The heels then isolate Rosemary, taunt her while beating on her. Rosemary fires up with two clotheslines and a sling blade to Tasha, which the clotheslines look bad, the sling blade looked slow. Just gonna pile on Rosemary on this match. I don't care anymore, dang it. Lung blower by Rosemary.
Hey, if it's bad, it's bad.
Lung blower to Rosemary by Hogan. And Rosemary.
Was this the one where it was a backstabber?
No, this was actually a lung blower.
Okay.
Rosemary chooses not to tag out when she could. Rosemary hulks up again. She and Tasha collide after running cross bodies. Havoc tags in, dominates Tasha and Hogan. Corner splashes, running boot. Tasha eventually escapes. Reverse DDT by Rosemary for 2. Tasha holds Rosemary, but eats a super kick from Tasha by accident. Then she takes the Russian leg sweep spear combo from Rosemary and Havoc for the pin. Decay retain in what could possibly be Kiera Hogan's last match. I guess we'll find out. I thought the match was fine at best, but really not worthy of a main event in a perfect world, I don't think. Again, feels like I've seen this a million times before. There's just not a lot of depth in this division, so they keep having to go back to the well, basically. They just subbed Rosemary in for Nevaeh at this point. It's going to take more than this to get me into this kind of match. I thought it was kind of an underwhelming main event, if I'm being honest.
Yay!
As for the show overall, not a big fan this week. Both the Purrazzo, Mickie James, Gail Kim, and the Elite Jay White, Chris Bay segments were far too long and dragged considerably. And those were the two biggest segments on this show.
Because that's Jay White.
There was some good stuff in both segments, but they just kept going and kept getting more people involved than necessary.
And one of them featured the Good Brothers.
Don't think we needed Gail Kim in one. Don't think we needed Good Brothers in the other. Could have shortened both of them up, put in another match, something. White and Bay did have a nice interaction early in the show that I liked, and every other segment was at least fine. In ring, the opening match with Bay and Rohit was by far my match of the night. The 6-person mixed tag was fine. Morrissey Edwards match was, I don't know what it was even. I was confused. It just sort of stopped and they never went back to it. And I forgot all about it by the end of the show, if I'm being honest. Thin Juice versus Austin and Fulton was pretty good. The main event was just okay and kind of underwhelming. So I gave this show a B-, a small bonus for having fans back on TV. I did not think this was a very strong episode. It wasn't awful. I didn't waste my time, but there were times, especially in those couple lengthy in-ring promo segments where I got a little bit annoyed. But a B- overall.
Nice.
All right, so you want to talk about your Rewind match that we just finished before coming down here?
So number 22, Pro Wrestling Rewind.
Is it 22 already?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Since 31.
Nice.
So I chose. I was just looking through matches.
Available on YouTube.
Interesting one. Yes, if you'd like to watch this before we talk
just
about it.
Just pause it now. Go watch it. Come back.
I'll give you a few seconds.
No, it'll be. They can pause it.
All right. I hope you enjoyed it. It was John Cena and Team Hell No versus The Shield.
Although you told them to go watch it before you told them what it was, I think, right there.
Yeah.
That might not work very well.
Oh.
So pause now and go
now
watch it.
You go watch it.
Okay.
Okay. So notables from the match. I had a brain fart.
I don't think there'll be a long list for notables. Not to spoil my thoughts on this, but I don't feel the list of notables should be super long.
So there was a brawl before the match.
True.
Stalling suplex to Ambrose by Kane. An iffy big boot by Kane on Rollins.
Iffy big boot?
Yeah.
Yeah, big boot where the other guy put his hands up and Kane didn't even make contact with the guy's hands. But anyway.
I think he got the chest or like.
It was bad.
Not very big.
No.
Corner kicks on Ambrose from Bryan. Elbows and kicks to Ambrose by Bryan. Assisted corner dropkick by Team Hell No. Yes kicks by Bryan to Ambrose. The surfboard submission by Bryan, which is pretty cool. Basement dropkick by Kane. Double suplex to Kane by Ambrose and Rollins. Abdominal stretch of sorts by Rollins. A jump up insecurity by Rollins. Samoan drop on Bryan by Reigns for 2. Kane gets a hot tag finished off by a sidewalk slam to Ambrose. Top rope flying clothesline by Kane. DDT on the outside by Ambrose, and Kane is barely able to avoid a countout. Chokeslam by Kane, and Cena finally gets a hot tag and hits his moves of doom on Reigns.
Obviously.
He rolls through on a crossbody by Rollins, can't get the AA because of his poor Achilles, and he gets speared by Reigns for the win.
Yep, that all happened. So right away, this is a TV match, main roster. Has Kane and Cena in it, so it's already starting at a deficit for me.
Has the Shield.
And the fun part of Kane and Bryan's sort of union was the segments outside of the ring and the vignettes they did for me. Because Kane at this point kind of bores me. Once the match starts, in this match I was telling you I was getting very annoyed because it's all about John Cena, right? He's selling this leg injury.
He replaced Ryback because Ryback walked out, which they said like 500 times.
So Kane and Bryan are kind of avoiding tagging him. And because we're supposed to be watching Cena mugging on the apron, which his facial expressions drive me crazy, we're supposed to be noticing him trying to get a tag and getting frustrated. So there's a bunch of low action stalling like submissions where we're supposed to focus on John Cena. Really annoying. The camera goes right up to Cena, firing up and waiting for the tag. I guess this was a decent TV match, but I was pretty bored. It was clear early on that the whole match was set up for a hot tag to Cena. He does end up getting pinned, which is kind of nice. It just wasn't interesting to me. It felt like everything else was an afterthought, and we're supposed to be looking at John Cena mugging in the corner and just getting frustrated and doing his like overacting of all of his facial expressions and mannerisms and stuff. I gave it a C+. I did not think this was really worth rewinding and looking at again. What did you think? I know it's the Shield, so you love them, but meh.
Yeah, this is a fine TV match. Not the best of the Shield with Kane and Cena involved. There really is a contrast when someone from the Shield is in the ring with Daniel Bryan, and then with Kane or Cena. Like
100%. Because Bryan's just like working a mile a minute, right? And then the other two are Kane especially is just
they
very
mentioned
plotting.
Cena's Achilles and him replacing Ryback on commentary way too much for my taste. This was and felt like a standard Raw match from the time. Nothing special.
Very
not
true.
The worst though. I guess I gave it a B-.
Yeah, we're pretty close. I mean, there's not much between a B- and a C+, right? So I would say that's similar.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think that's all I have for any of the wrestling business.
Yeah, we should probably.
We need to get into what I am being told is going to be a big, beefy edition of what we always end with, which is Jack taking some time, maybe a lot of time this week.
Quite a bit of time.
To talk about anything new in the world of wrestling action figures. And
new.
It is Figuring It Out with Jack.
So with San Diego Comicon stuff yesterday, they took the time to reveal a buttload of crap, which I got bombarded with. So there's a lot of cool stuff though. There's a lot to like, not gonna lie. So we got first actually I'll pull up stuff on my phones for reference images for myself. But first we got the Elite 88 Rey Mysterio It's in like a light blue and kind of like a reddish orange and then some yellow highlights. It is from the era where he's got the eye patch, so it does have that, which is kind of amusing. And there's this comment, it's like, there's like no removable eyeball, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah, that's true.
That was pretty funny.
Details.
And he's got like one of those sleeveless entrance tops that he wears sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the first Rey Mysterio I've seen with like the singlet, so that's kind of interesting. And then he's got black gloved hands, he's got fisted hands, which are on, and then he's got like these, they're open hands, they're kind of like grab hands, kind of like this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it looks pretty good. I wish it didn't have the eye patch, because then like it's kind of weird. I wish it was just like a normal one, but it looks good. Then we got from the same series, Elite 88, we got another Matt Riddle, which is pretty good. I find it funny because the last Elite he got was Elite 78, so
it's been a while.
That's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in an orange and black, a bit of white on there. New head scan looks pretty good. He's got a blue Stallion Battalion shirt.
His legs
and
look
cap.
very, very big.
Yeah, it's the same as the last one.
Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't have mini arms, though. He's got, like, the bro hands and also black sandals, because you can't have a Matt Riddle without the sandals.
Do birds fly out when he takes them off or anything? No?
I hope. They better pack that in, otherwise I'm not buying it. If they don't got the birds, I don't want it.
Right.
So the store exclusive / collector's edition figure for Elite 88, I showed you, it's the Zodiac, which is one of...
Yeah, and I was like, what?
Which is one of Ed Leslie's many, personas. If you don't know who that is, that's Brutus Beefcake, but this is just a different persona.
One of the least talented performers of that era.
Yeah.
But when you're best friends with Hulk Hogan, you get
gotta
a lot
do
of
stuff.
You
I'm
get a lot of
surprised he wasn't in
chances.
Impact Wrestling.
Right.
He's got like a black and white striped attire. He does have an alternate head, or an interchangeable head, sorry, with an alternate expression. It looks fine. It's the Zodiac. That's what it is. Elite 88 Trish Stratus as well, in the pink and black for her standard one. She's got like weird interchangeable hands. Don't know really what pose that is, you would call it. It's like a thing. She's got like a cowboy hat in pink, and then the Chase variant is, I think, WrestleMania 18, I want to say. It's like, they called it on ringside a Canadian attire. They did a basic of this one, so it's like
red and white?
Black and white, yeah. And another cowboy hat matching the colors. One of my favorite reveals, a Elite 92 Adam Cole.
Okay.
He looks pretty nice, new head scan, and the standard one is the green and gold, like his current gear.
Right.
So I'm surprised they were able to get like this current Adam Cole out so quick. That's pretty nice. And this Chase variant, we're getting 2 Adam Coles, is finally the one everyone's wanted, the camo Adam Cole from War Games 2018.
Nice.
To kind of complete the set, right? Because they have like, I have the O'Reilly and Strong camo, I don't have the Bobby Fish, but... So this is pretty nice. He comes with a steel chair on both, and both of them come with Undisputed Era armbands, even though one of them's post Undisputed Era, but whatever. And he's got to have the Bebe hands, because you can't not.
Gotta have the Bebe hands.
Yeah.
That's an odd sentence, but yes.
You gotta. Next we got Elite 89 Sergeant Slaughter. They just released actually a San Diego Comicon exclusive Ultimate Edition for him, but so he's getting an Elite as well. He's got the classic, like, you know, like the camo shirt with the black singlet over top, that combination. He's got red open elbow pads, and he's got like khaki pants, kinda.
Mm-hmm.
He comes with like, I was trying to get help with you what it is, like the crop or like the whip thingy or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's a crop.
He's a military guy. He's got sunglasses and a hat, like the kind of the Sami Zayn hat. I don't know what that's called, a beret or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if the Sami Zayn hat.
You know how he wears a hat.
I don't think it's a beret, but I know what you mean.
Or that kind of hat, and also interchangeable finger pointer hands.
Right.
So far these are just like their color render images, so they might not show all the accessories yet. Sometimes more hands. Yay! Elite 89 Nia Jax. Woo!
Yay.
In the purple and black and silver, and then she gets a Chase variant too. 2 Nia Jaxes.
It's better than one.
Yeah, and a red and gold attire. Comes with interchangeable hands, open hands, fisted hands. Women's tag title, boring, don't care. Speaking of what the hell, the exclusive, like the store exclusive collector's edition, whatever you want to call it, for Elite 89 is the Goon.
Interesting.
Another odd one.
I was telling you, it was supposed to be Chris Jericho, and he said, no thanks.
He
Smart move.
just comes with his standard attire. He's got interchangeable fisted hands with the open hands, and then he's also got interchangeable hands for hockey gloves, which is kind of interesting. And he comes with a hockey stick. No jersey or anything, which is, I feel like that's kind of odd. But then we got Dominic Mysterio for Elite 89. Same colors as the Rey Mysterio. So it does kind of match that, which is pretty nice. It comes with a kendo stick, I guess, based on SummerSlam, although this is in the SummerSlam attire. But, because he had the kendo stick with Seth Rollins.
Right.
And another Dominic Mysterio, which is the SummerSlam 2021 Elites Build-A-Figure, and it's child Dominic Mysterio.
That is creepy stuff.
It's I'm usually fine with the Build-A-Figures because it's a cool concept.
And his dad, Eddie Guerrero?
When it's a child, it's kind of weird.
It's
and also,
looking.
He looks too chubby, I think.
It's just creepy looking altogether.
Yeah, it's just a gray render for that one. Elite 91, Hulk Hogan, yay! SummerSlam 2005
Nobody buy that.
From the best match
Nobody buy
of
that.
all time. Right?
Boycott that.
The best match? Yeah? SummerSlam 2005?
Who?
The best match of all time, Hogan and Michaels.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
amazing.
the best match.
It was a
he comes with
masterpiece.
the boa, the Hulkamania, like the tank top. I don't know if it's cloth because it's a render. Weight belt, interchangeable hands, bandana, glasses, whatever. It's a Hogan. It's whatever. I don't think we've gotten a Hogan in that area yet, but I don't care. You'll like this one. I showed you the Elite 91 Rob Van Dam.
Yep, with the thumbs.
Yeah, he does have the Rob Van Dam hands, the thumb pointers, and it's the Tiger Skull singlet. I think that's ECW, so that looks pretty nice.
Yep.
He's got a gray steel chair, which I don't think I've seen that before, at least from, them. Because I know, we got some from Ringside, but that's a whole different thing, right?
Right.
So we got a few just gray render images of, upcoming figures, not really specific. We got... Oh, it's Elite 93, Karrion Kross. Yay! I wanted that so bad. It's the update one with the stupid loincloth or whatever.
And no Scarlet. That's accurate.
That's great. Well, she's probably going to get her own. Oh, Elite 92, Burn Victim Fiend.
That looks weird.
Now, it wasn't great, but I think that'll be at least a good quality figure, because, they'll have to make, a sculpt and everything, right? I was saying to you.
Yeah.
It'll be at least an interesting sculpt. I think that'll look interesting when it's, all colored
Oh,
up.
Is that just, the rendering or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is just the gray renders.
Gotcha.
We got another interesting choice. I thought they're making a lot of interesting choices for figures. We got Chainsaw Charlie, aka Terry Funk.
Oh, Terry Funk.
With the chainsaw. I think that's very interesting.
Love Terry Funk.
Yeah, and a good news. I don't know if I told you. I can't remember. An Elite Raquel Gonzalez is coming.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Very nice, yeah. Oh, Elite 93, that is. That's cool, because I do definitely want to get a figure for her. We got Elite 91 Bianca Belair. I think it's funny because her last Elite was Elite 81, so 10 series ago. I think it's from Royal Rumble 2021, so her Rumble win. She does come with the SmackDown Women's title, some interchangeable hands, sunglasses, just loose earrings, and then she comes with an interchangeable head that, I told you, doesn't have the earrings on because she does take them off.
She takes them off before she fights.
I think that's a cool touch, right? Yep. I think that's pretty nice. So next we got some Royal Rumble Elites. I think they'll be for next year's line, so Royal Rumble 22 series. We got Earthquake, and I googled this. It's Canadian Earthquake. It's got the Canadian flag on a light blue singlet.
John Tenta.
Pretty plain, but it's cool. We got Yokozuna in white and black. He's usually known for wearing the red, so it's a bit of an interesting attire. He comes with interchangeable hands and a wooden bucket for some reason.
I think they brought it to the ring. Was that where they put the salt? Because they use that for sumo.
Then that would make sense. That makes sense. We got a Big E Elite, which is pretty nice. It's from, I think, 2020. Which it looks pretty good. It's the Xavier Woods Get Well Soon attire, which I don't love because it's what if you're using Xavier Woods? You know what I mean?
Yep.
But it's cool to get a Big E, and even better, I think, also from Royal Rumble 2020, we got an Elite Dakota Kai. Let's go.
Sweet. Good for her.
Because she's only got a basic, so I'm very happy about that.
Yeah.
We do have a Build-A-Figure for that series, which is not a creepy little child. It is a pink jacket Jimmy Hart. So that's better.
Look like Jimmy Hart? Kind of, I guess.
I have a fig. It's the same scan as the Jimmy Hart I have. It's just a different jacket.
It is better than a creepy child. Yes. I'll agree.
We got WrestleMania 38 Elite AJ Styles from WrestleMania 36. It's the Boneyard AJ. It's just
the match people love that I thought was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, people love that match.
Look, the top half of the AJ looks like that SummerSlam Elite AJ I got from last year because of the OC, and then they just put generic jeans on them.
Looks like.
It looks fine. It's accurate, but I don't really care for that, honestly. The Build-A-Figure will be a new generation era Vince McMahon, like the commentator Vince.
Yep.
In the black suit. That's cool, I guess. New ringside exclusive got revealed with the Blackheart, what they call Blackheart Tommaso Ciampa. He's gonna be wearing like the black and gold long tights, and he'll come with an entrance hood thing, and like his entrance. It's not necessarily a jacket, but like it's like it goes down. It's not. Is it?
Not a cape.
No, it's like a vest, but then it goes down like a coat.
I don't know what you call that.
Like it's a vest coat or whatever.
Yeah, like a full-length vest.
His entrance gear or whatever. Yeah. It looks pretty cool. I would get it because I do want another champ. I like it. We got Elite Legends Series 13 with the DX Army Triple H in like that black and green long tights, which he wore like in that era. He's got like a megaphone and this other thing that I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you either. I looked.
We got the Hurricane. It's WWECW Hurricane with the long hair.
Right.
Which that's an interesting choice. But I mean, that's kind of cool. The bottom half of him kind of looks like an X-Pac figure, but I mean, hey.
Nice.
Bob Orton, another interesting choice. I guess it's a Legend series, so it makes more sense.
No cast?
I think that's what the white thing is.
Yeah,
I think he's got a cast. Cowboy hat, obviously. Boxing gloves for some reason. I don't know if you know what that is.
I do not.
And then we got Jake the Snake Roberts, which is kind of confusing because he's in AEW, but I'm sure they've got something worked out. The standard one is in blue tights with the red, orange, yellow, white flames.
Nice.
Looks pretty cool. He's got like a coal miner's glove or whatever. Maybe it's from that match or whatever.
Could be. I'm not sure.
I think that was the thing. He does come with the snake, and then they said, because I watched the video for some of the reveals, that the Chase variant it's a gray tights one. I think it's WCW. Jake the Snake. You can see the difference because it's got like a snake on it, and the other one's got flames. But that's cool, I guess.
Yep.
I don't care. Ultimate Edition Legends Batista. This one's pretty nice. It's a red and white attire. It looks pretty good. You get like a crap ton of stuff. You get the World Heavyweight title, of course. You get the 2 contracts to kind of recreate that moment when he's like choosing which one he wants to sign. So that's pretty nice. You got a bunch of hands. You got open hands, fist hands, mic holding hands, and thumbs up, thumbs down hands. You got a few different expressions. You got just like a mute face, kind of a smirking one, and then the screaming one to do the entrance thing, the thing.
Yep.
You got a cloth animal, the animal t-shirt as well. That's pretty nice. It looks good. They introduced a new Ultimate body mold for like The Rock and other people, and it looks good. It's kind of like that buff torso they use for like Triple H or just adapted into Ultimate Edition. Right. Speaking of Ultimate Edition, we got another one which is going to be Kane. I don't think they specified what series this will be, but he's got 2 different heads, and he's got, remember the entrance cape? He's got that, which I think is kind of interesting.
Yep. The
voice box and the Big Eagle, the Attitude Era WWE title, which is unpainted in the picture, but I'm sure it's just a prototype image. And then we got Undertaker, also from the Attitude Era. Looks like, I think that's Ministry Taker, right? Or like...
looks like it to me.
That kind of era. Yep. He looks pretty cool. He's got a few different heads. He's got a hair down head, and he's got like another head where the hair's kind of behind his head, and then he's got like the head with the tongue out.
Right.
That's a good sound.
Right.
And then
Great
we got
sound.
Another Ultimate Edition, which is the Fan Takeover Ultimate Edition Series 2, which is like that's where they vote on the attires.
Right.
And so we got Ultimate Warrior from WrestleMania 6, which was the Ultimate Challenge. Henceforth, he comes with the Winged Eagle WWE title and the Yellow Strap Intercontinental title, which is kind of cool. Then he's got an interchangeable Screaming head, which has the paint worn off, and then he's got some interchangeable hands. Masters of the Universe Series 8, like the weird figures that are Masters of the Universe wrestlers.
Yep.
China, Austin, Mysterio, those do not interest me whatsoever. And then we got a new line, which is going to be called WWE Superstars. They're basically the same style as those Masters of the Universe figures, but they're normal.
Right.
So I think they're replacing the line, because it seemed to kind of flop. Series 1 will have Bray Wyatt. He looks odd.
He's very much so.
We got Ric Flair in a red. We got Hollywood Hogan, and we got Honky Tonk Man.
Nice.
Then we got this thing they call the Retros Figures Bundle. We got, remember the retro figures? They're Hasbro style, those ones. We got Mean Gene Okerlund, and it comes in this shipper box. And you also get Mr. T, Bob Orton, and Roddy Piper. Piper's got the kilt, Okerlund's got the mic, and Orton's got the
something
cowboy hat. It looks like they even kind of put the cast on.
Yeah, I think so.
That's kind of cool. We got another new line. We got the WWE Hollywood Elites, which is basically the wrestlers from
movies.
We got John Cena as Jacob Toretto from the upcoming F9 movie, which is Fast and Furious 9. Right. It's kind of interesting. This is basically it looks like a promo attire Cena almost. It's not really anything distinctive. It's a new scan that looks good. We got Roddy Piper from They Live.
Good movie.
John Nada.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a cool movie.
That's pretty nice, yeah.
Yep.
And then we got The Rock from Hobbs and Shaw, which I tried to watch this morning, and Crave would not let me.
Crave's put it behind a higher paywall or something.
Yeah, that's not very nice. How
dare they?
I wanted to see Charles be a bad guy from The Office.
Is that everything?
No, we still got a bunch.
Oh boy.
The series 2 of that, it's gonna have Andre the Giant as Bigfoot from the $6 Million Man. He looks odd, and I'm kind of sad they didn't put him in from The Princess Bride, because I would have gotten that.
Right.
We got Roman Reigns from Hobbs and Shaw as well. He looks pretty cool because he's in like these shorts, and so I saw My Damn Toys, who's a figure YouTuber that I watch, and he's done like kind of Uso shorts, Roman Reigns custom, so that's what that kind of looks like. And then you could not do it. It's Rock from Scorpion King.
Right.
You gotta have that, I guess. So that's kind of cool. Then we got the Fan Takeover Ultimate Edition figures Series 1. We got Hulk Hogan from WrestleMania 9.
Yay.
He's got the same heads from the Hollywood Hogan Ultimate with
Don't buy that one.
A screaming one, smiling one, and a meat one, just no black beard. He's got the bandana, the Hulkamania shirt, Winged Eagle title, interchangeable hands, weight belt, all the usual crap. We got Jeff Hardy as well from SmackDown, December 19th, 2008. Yeah, nailed it. He comes with his interchangeable screaming head. He's got some cool face paint. It's like a late 2000s Jeff.
Right.
Black tank top, the Hardy hands, and the spinner title, which I heard might actually spin, which is cool. And my favorite announcement of the thing, it's a basic, which it's not that exciting, but it's Isaiah Swerve Scott. So
that is cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
The standard version is green tights, and the chase is red, I think. So 2 Isaiah Swerve Scotts.
Nice.
Let's go. That is great. I really want an elite of him, but I will take this for the time being. I just want a Swerve.
Yep.
We got an NXT
cool.
Ember Moon basic. So, like, current Ember Moon, basically. Mandy Rose, don't care. They don't want her in NXT, so I'm not going to talk about that. We got a basic Keith Lee, which will be, like, black and red logos. It's the singlet, which is just so great. We got pretty nice basic Santos Escobar, actually. It's from Halloween Havoc. The Rey Mysterio inspired gear and the skull face paint.
Yeah, it looks good.
Pretty cool. We got Walking Wild basics. We got the standard, which I think will be also Halloween Havoc with the face paint. The suit, I think an entrance mask it looks like. And then the chase one will be just a standard suit one.
Mm-hmm.
Which I feel like they should have done a ring attire one, but I mean, hey, that's just me. And then Raul Mendoza is the same, with the standard being the Halloween Havoc, and then the chase being just a suited one. They look pretty cool. I do like that, and then we can get a Legado del Fantasma pretty easily. So we got some Championship Showdown 2-packs, like the battle packs that aren't battle packs, because they won't do battle packs for some reason.
Right.
So the first one is I'm not sure what series it is yet again, but Bret Hart and Undertaker, I think from SummerSlam 1997, it looks like. Charlotte and Ripley from last year's WrestleMania, where Ripley lost for no reason. McIntyre and Goldberg from Royal Rumble earlier this year. You can tell because Goldberg's wearing the shorts for some reason. And Street Profits in like SmackDown gear, like their recent blue gear. That looks good, I guess. Then there was just a few renders showing some figures we saw last time, like the Elite 88 Kushida, Roman Reigns, and MVP. Roman Reigns is nice. That's the gold gauntlet and the updated back tattoo. So I'm excited for that. I'm also excited for Elite 89. We got a new Bobby Lashley.
Nice.
He's finally got an angry head sculpt. He's got the long tights with the black and gold logos. And he comes with the WWE title. It looks great just from the renders, and I'm happy we're getting like we've gotten a cup. We got one updated Bobby Lashley with the long tights, but it was a basic, and then we're getting another basic. So it's cool to get an Elite. And Damian Priest is getting an Elite in the purple, I think, WrestleMania 37 gear. Comes with the entrance vest. He looks really good. The scan, just from the renders, looks much better than the basic that he's getting. Next we got Elite 89 Drew McIntyre. I think from Royal Rumble this year. He's got the sword.
Right.
So you got to get it. And he's also got the kilt.
It's the tooth of the Loch Ness Monster, man.
Yeah.
That's a rare.
That's rare. That's a good get. We got an Elite 90 Big Boss Man from the Hulkamania era. The blue shirt and whatever. Handcuffs and baton. Pretty standard. Oh, and a police hat. And another interesting one that I'm pretty excited about is an Elite 90 Bronson Reed.
Cool.
In a Bam Bam Bigelow inspired gear, I think it is. And that's really cool because it's its first figure, 2, and it's an NXT Elite. Mm-hmm. So I was excited for a swerve, but at least that was like a basic. So this is an Elite. That's pretty nice. We got Elite 90 Mustafa Ali, which is unfortunately a Retribution Ali. He comes with the entrance mask and a cloth shirt. That's not great. We got Elite 90 Randy Orton. He comes with those goggles. Remember from when he was attacking the Legends?
Oh, yeah.
He's got a chair.
Night vision goggles, aren't they?
Yeah, night vision goggles.
Yep.
And it's the white and red WrestleMania 37 gear, which it is a pretty nice gear because it's rare for him to wear white. We got Reckoning Elite 90 Mia Yim.
Yay.
Reckoning. That's even worse than Mia Yim. Like, come on. The Elite 90 store exclusive / collector's edition is another odd choice. It's Chief J Strongbow.
Interesting.
In a green singlet. He's got an interchangeable head that will have his headdress on, which I mean, that's kind of cool, I guess. Elite 90 Jey Uso looks pretty nice. Not gonna lie, in the white, I think from Hell in a Cell 2020, which is like his updated look with the short hair. He comes with a white lei necklace. That one looks pretty good. It's cool we're getting a new Jey Uso. Mm-hmm. Kind of current. There's going to be a Top Talent Basic Series, Top Talent 2022. Even though they just did series like Top Picks 2022, but those lines it's really weird. And then they got Top Talent Elite 2022. It'll have Goldberg, Hardy, and Reigns. And it's weird because they just did the Top Picks 2022 with Mysterio, Cena, McIntyre, and Reigns. But then this is, and it's not even 2022. But then these are the same. It's really confusing. I don't like it. And then finally, we got Survivor Series Elites, which we got Keith Lee from 2019, which is pretty nice. It's a clean face Keith Lee, so no beard or anything. And it's an XC Keith Lee, so no stupid singlet. Which is very nice. We got Bret Hart from 1996, which is match with Stone Cold. He's got a pink steel chair, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But he looks really nice. We got Hulk Hogan. And this could honestly be from any Survivor Series. In that era, I had no clue.
That's his standard gear, yeah.
Yeah, he just looks like Hulk Hogan. And then we got an all-blue Bayley from 2019. She's got the SmackDown style. She looks pretty good. I like that one.
Nice.
And that is it. Told you that was a
chomp.
That
was an epic. I think what we need to do going forward is we do the figuring it out separately and we start adding images and we put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because people then can see it but that would be work for you because I'm not doing that. I can show you how to do it, but anyways, we can talk about that. But yeah, that's a lot of interesting stuff coming out. And I think that's going to bring us to the end of episode 53. I think it's going to be a big one.
That was a lot of talking.
Once we put it all together. Yeah, good job. So I don't think there's any material bonus stuff coming out this week, right? There's no pay-per-views or anything, I don't think. I'll be doing my Ring of Honor probably on Monday evening at some point. There seems to be a tiny loyal following of that, so you can look for that to come out. And then we'll definitely be back here next Saturday for episode 54. I don't think anything's coming up before then, but just keep an eye out because you never know when we decide to sit down and talk about a little bit of wrestling. But I think that's going to do it for this week. And until episode 54 next Saturday, when we hopefully will see you then.
Season 2, episode 2.
Right. And until then, I hope everybody just takes care and is safe and happy and having a great summer. So we'll see you back here for the next episode. Until then, take care, everybody.
Peace out, dudes.